Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mangalorian. I hope you're having a lovely, lovely day. The summer still on us. We're about to hit August, and it's time to talk about the Dragon Ball Super manga, specifically Volume 13 of the Dragon Ball Super manga. This manga volume has a lot of action. We have a lot of fighting. Ultra Instinct returns. Goku's gonna get in there. A lot of stuff happens. Jordan, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm hanging in there. You know how it be.
I want to let the people kind of know a little bit of the things that have been going on because we were supposed to do a show last week, but what happened was people were actually over at your mansion and they were updating your internet. So apparently your internet connection is better now. Because people are already making jokes in the chat, bro. They're already joking about it in the chat.
It is better, and I bought a new Ethernet cable, and I've been doing all kinds of stuff to try and make my internet better. And I should have access to better internet in general soon, from what I've seen and what my internet company says. So, fingers crossed.
Well, let's hope so. Now, let me ask you: did the Ethernet cable make a difference? Because my experience, if you have a bad Ethernet cable, for me, like there's bad as in it just doesn't work, or bad as in like maybe it works a little fuzzy, but usually if it's bad, it just won't work at all. Did you just upgrade to a newer one?
Yeah, I got a better one, but no, I think something happened with it to where it was literally like disconnecting from my computer and then reconnecting to my computer in the middle of the stream, and that would drop my internet, and it would try to connect to my Wi-Fi and then try to connect to my Ethernet, and it was causing problems. So for some reason, it was dropping my Ethernet connection and then reconnecting, and that's part of the problem. But this one doesn't seem to be doing that, so we should be good to go. So
yeah, that's when I used to be in everybody knows, well, not everybody, but I used to be in IT, and I was in IT for years. I was actually a networking engineer. And the name of the symptom that you're going through is what we call dropping packets or losing packets. Because the way that internet data travels, it's in these little sort of bites. Try to imagine little bite-sized bits going up your cable, going through. I'm just trying to paint the picture for the people. So these little bits are called packets, and so they break apart. So right now, like my beautiful, beautiful face is breaking apart into little microscopic invisible packets of electricity, and then when they reach the viewers and your computer or phone or whatever, it unpacks, and that's literally the simplest way of how to
like
explain
some sorcery.
Yes, it does, bro. Yes, it does. It's like I don't want to say it. Somebody made a comment in my Discord. Okay, I didn't make this comment, so please don't come after me, but one of our comedian people in the Discord referred to algebra recently as Jew magic. I don't know if you were there for that.
No, I was not.
It was Freddy. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't.
That's Freddy humor.
But yeah, dude, that's crazy that you have that much in-depth knowledge on the process. That's really cool.
Well, I mean, you have to learn that when you go through like networking school. Like that's like, even though it's not really like super useful, when you hear somebody say, "Oh, I'm dropping packets," that's what it means. I'm just saying. It's just like it's something you have to know, but it's not super relevant anymore because usually it's a quick thing to learn. But yeah, that's how it works. Before we get to the manga, we're gonna jump into it right now. Thank you, Hoop Baby 07. Your magic is real, and I believe in you. Thank you for the human monies. Don't forget, bro. YouTube loves to take half. So, and also don't forget, and I want to obviously put this out now because we had a very kind gentleman a couple weeks ago buy gifted memberships on here. Memberships have moved to the Patreon, patreon.com/geekdom101. And actually, Jordan, our uncensored version of the Super Magic show we did last week about the Kung Fu movies, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, that's on the Patreon right now. So if somebody wants to watch it with all the trailers and everything, because guess what? They all got copyright claimed.
Of course they did, yeah.
Of course they did. Which is bullshit because they're trailers. Like if you have a clip from the movie, it's one thing. But trailers, you want those to be promoted. We're putting money in their pocket, bro.
Right.
But they don't give a shit. Let's get to volume 13 of the Dragon Ball Super manga. We left off with Moro on his way to Earth. His minions are now on Earth, and the defenders of the planet are together. The Z fighters are here. Androids, Piccolo, Gohan, pretty much the crew from the Tournament of Power, plus some of the ones that didn't compete, all going up against the prisoners that escaped the prison. So this, to me, Jordan, when this eventually makes it to anime, I could see them having a lot of fun with this, because this to me could be some of the more fun stuff as far as like just pure Dragon Ball enjoyability when it comes to this manga chapter, because it's basically like a bigger and I guess just crazier version of the Resurrection F Rumble. You know, like everyone's just working together, doing their techniques. Krillin fires Kienzans, known as Destructo Discs in the dub era of the world. And this guy rolls up into a ball and deflects them on some Sonic the Hedgehog shit. We've never actually seen somebody do something like that before.
No, that's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, I do agree that this is going to be next level whenever it's animated. You made the comparison to ROF, but honestly, they're so how can I put this, purposeful with like the different fights and stuff like that within this arc in comparison to ROF, because with ROF they're really just fighting a bunch of Frieza Force minions that are nameless that nobody really cares
and these
about.
guys have like powers.
Yeah, these guys have powers. They're matching certain people up against certain people for certain reasons, very similar to the Tournament of Power. So I think it'll have it's going to be like a mix of ROF, but with the pacing of the Tournament of Power in the sense that they're going to have to have all of these individual fights play out. It's not going to be like it was in ROF where we see Roshi, Ten Shinhan, Yamcha, or whoever's there, Yako, fighting at the same time. It's going to be like way more longer and drawn out than that. So I think it'll be like way more epic in that sense.
And I will say this, I want to actually address something Magan says here. I don't mind they expand these scenes for like 2 or 3 episodes, or is that too much filler? No, I don't think that's a problem. I think that when you're adapting something like this, whether it be from Toriyama, Toyotaro, or even from, American comics, you're going to want to give each character a good amount of time. And I think it would be great if they expounded this to more than just one episode. But I will say this, and I'm just going to say this right now. As much as because people were asking me earlier for inside information. One of the things that I do not have, in fact, no leaker has this information, is we don't know what the pacing of the Moro arc's going to be. Because on one hand, it could be paced like Kai, where it's really, really quick, and maybe 2 chapters or 3 chapters equal 1 episode, or maybe 1 chapter. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 3 episodes equal 1 chapter, because the chapters in Super are longer than the ones in the old manga. It could be something like that, or it could be even slower. I have no idea how this is going to go. I have no clue, because this is the first time that they're actually going to be adapting from the manga Dragon Ball Super. The old stuff was from the manga. The new stuff, like when Super came back in 2015, or when Super started in 2015, they were not adapting from the manga. The manga is their storyboard now.
Yeah. Just to give some insight on that, I think the most likely scenario is that they'll do it from chapter to chapter, like literally, like 1-to-1, episode to episode, chapter. Because the thing is like the length of the chapters is about what they used to adapt for the anime from Toriyama. It'd be like you said, like 3 chapters. Like these are like 50 to 60 pages a chapter. Like it's like the comparison between like how they used to adapt things in terms of adapting the manga compared to now is just night and day in terms of how their approach is going to have to be, because the Dragon Ball Super manga is way longer in comparison to the installments of the old Dragon Ball. So I would say, because of how the openings are structured, each chapter has a particular type of opening that's because when you're doing manga, you're supposed to open the manga chapter with something that grabs someone's attention, and you're also supposed to end it with someone that continues to grab their attention, so they want to watch the next episode. Yeah, and the way that Toyotaro has structured his manga, it's almost as if you could one-to-one adapt. I mean, because the fights are going to be so fast in comparison, because fights in animated format, they go by a lot faster than dialogue and stuff like that. So basically, if you factor in the fights and you factor in the dialogue and everything, it could work out in a way to where they could almost adapt it one-to-one in terms of like chapter to episode. Now, I'm not saying it would be perfect, and I'm not saying that they could consistently do that, but there's enough content in each chapter that they could probably take at least somewhat of a similar approach. So,
well, one of the things that you brought up that I'd like to talk about briefly is that Toyotaro's chapters are not like Toriyama's because it's a monthly manga, and if you notice, like you said, the way that he structures his chapters are very much more like an anime than a manga. If you read a lot of manga, right? If you're out there and you read weekly manga, I don't even read that much manga, but I understand how it works. The pages is only about what 15, 20 pages a week because it's weekly. With the Dragon with the Dragon Ball Super manga, because it's monthly, it's more like 30, 45, sometimes even more pages
60.
than that.
There's been 60. There has been 60
Yes.
page chapters.
And however, I feel like whoever it's going to be that's going to direct this, whoever the series director is, they have not announced who it is yet. They probably know, but they haven't announced it yet. Whoever the series director is, he's going to have to be the one to decide that, because I feel like some of this stuff should be one-to-one, but there's also a lot of room for them to take certain scenes and expound them. There are certain ways for them to take fights and expound them. Look, as much as people who are younger than me disagree with me, I actually like the pacing of Dragon Ball Z more than I do Kai. Yes, sometimes it can get really slow. Yes, the Frieza versus Goku fight is Dragon Ball. I'm the first one to tell you that. Sometimes the anime can go slow, but I really like that pacing for at least most of, like the Saiyan saga, I think is, when you get to the manga stuff that they adapt, I think is pretty well paced. I would like them to do it like that, but they might not, because Super wasn't really like Z. So,
well, yeah,
but it wasn't like Kai either.
You're right that we really have no concrete way of measuring how they're going to do it.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, other than just like the closest guess we can take is actually looking at the content of the manga itself and basically measuring that into what an anime episode could be. You know, factoring in how fast the fights are going to be and stuff like that. But like you said, because they can expand on things and add new things, that's not going to be sound math either. So, yeah,
it's going to take a good director that can figure out where to cut things, where to add stuff. It's all going to come down to the director. So, back to this manga. I like that Toyotaro's giving several pages to Krillin. Of course, he has now learned. Now, this is kind of a cool thing. He has now learned how to do what Frieza did, which is telekinetically control the Kienzan. He could not do this in the Z era. Only Frieza could do it. Yep. Now he knows how to do it. And I think that's great. I think that is a great upgrade for Krillin. I love that.
This whole fight is a love letter to Krillin. Like Krillin, you remember the filler
it's like
episode?
7 pages.
You remember that? You remember that fight between Goku and Krillin in the like prior to the Tournament of Power, whenever Krillin like almost knocked Goku off the stage.
The anime only thing, yeah.
Yeah, this is like the manga's version of that, because in that episode they really like to highlight that Krillin is a technical fighter, meaning that he uses techniques and things very well, and he's very thoughtful about how he uses his techniques. He basically uses that to compensate for the fact that he's not as strong as the average, fighter in comparison to Goku and Vegeta and stuff like that. He has to be very, very tactical and think about what he's going to do so he can win, and that's ultimately how he wins this fight. He even does like an instant Kamehameha, which is dope.
Well, that's one of the things that's cool is he uses the Kienzan to distract the prisoner. I forget his name. They'll go through it later. And then he gets behind him and fires the Kamehameha at point blank range using the fucking Zanzoken. So he uses a Kienzan mixed with a Zanzoken, which is the after image technique, followed by a Kamehameha. That's 3 old school OG Dragon Ball manga techniques all brought in technically
Right. And
great.
he did so well.
And he knocked him on his ass, bro. He knocked him on his ass. Meanwhile, and look at this guy, bro. They stretchered him out. He did it. Oh, there's my windows. He did a stretcher job, bro. Look at this. This is like a pro wrestling angle. They stretchered him out, bro. He is stretchered out. So Roshi's fighting the girls, and he's being perverted to them, which shouldn't surprise anybody.
You're right.
They see through it. And, of course, Master Roshi does the classic pervy martial arts instructor, like, I have to focus, and tries to turn everything into a...
He said, my mind's been possessed by some kind of wicked energy.
Yeah, which happens to be how his mind is possessed all the time. That right there is very much like those movies we talked about last week, the Jackie Chan movies where the old master says something goofy like that, like, oh, the spirits are telling me to touch you, like that fucking shit. Like, it's inappropriate as fuck, but it's a manga. You can't really, I mean, I wouldn't get mad at a manga. It's just stupid comedy. And the thing about Roshi, I want to make this point clear. Hold on, Jordan. I want to say this very, very clear to people. I've seen people nowadays say, oh, well, Master Roshi should be canceled. First of all, how do you cancel a fictional character? Well, I guess Pepe Le Pew got canceled, but they say that Master Roshi's inappropriate. He's essaying the girls. Okay, I understand that, but one of the things that Akira Toriyama has always done from the very beginning when he wrote Roshi to be a pervert is that every time Roshi does something perverted, he ends up paying for it. If he cops a feel on lunch, she pulls out a machine gun and shoots him in the face. If he cops a feel on Bulma, she smacks him. He never just gets away with it. Something bad happens to him. And I'm not saying that that's like... I'm not saying that that's like going to make up for him being inappropriate. It's just that this is the kind of humor that he is. Like, I just don't get offended at it. I mean, it's because it's fiction, bro. Like, it's whatever.
Well, it's also the reason that he can't ride the Kintoon, right? So it's the reason that he lost his purity. Like, it is framed as a bad thing. He is an anti-perv character. Like, a lot of anime, when they have a perverted character, they don't frame that perverted character as bad. They don't frame him as bad. Most of the time, he's some sort of heroic figure, right? Now, the reason it works with Roshi is not only because of what you said, where he pays for it, right? And it is framed as like a bad thing. But Roshi is a monk who purposefully moved himself to an island to essentially cut himself off from society to try and tame his wicked nature in terms of his perverted nature. And that's what makes it so funny, is that he's a play on a real life concept, because this is real. This really used to happen. There would be old sages and stuff who would cut themselves off from society and try to basically purify themselves of all of their wicked intent.
People still do that to this day.
Yeah, and Roshi, he has been a monk and a martial artist his entire life. He has never got to have a girlfriend. He's never got to have a wife, despite what the Dragon Ball filler might tell you. Like, he is basically still a kid in an old man's body who has a crush on girls the same way a little a pubescent kid would, and he's basically having to like constantly wrestle with that because he's a monk and he never did have any experiences like that, and he's cut himself off from society purposely so because he is a martial artist and he's trying not to be that type of person. So, it's framed as not only a bad thing, but it's also funny because it's a play. It is literally a joke playing on a real-life concept of these hermits cutting themselves off from society and making themselves abstinent so they can basically master martial arts. Basically, his obsession with women is the only thing that's holding him back from basically reaching his full potential as well as a martial artist. So
I like the fact that he's flawed too, because it shows that Goku has advantages over him that even he didn't have. Now, one of the things I hope they do expand on in the anime here is this fight between Ten Shin Han and this metal man in a castle. They're literally, if you look at this other panel up here, right? They're literally fighting in this giant snowy castle that looks like something that Bob Ross would paint. And I want to see more of this type of shit in the anime, bro. I want to see it. So this is where Ten Shin Han finds out that insult weaken metal men. That goes back to the Universe 6 tournament when we found out that they're very sensitive. And Chaozu's the one that's like, insult him. That's his weakness. And that is his weakness. So he calls him a bunch of names, and they're like, well, I don't know how to insult him. I do like.
Do you get the joke here? Do you get the joke here? Do you get what this is a callback to?
It's a callback to Vegeta from Universe 6.
It's not just a callback to Vegeta. It's a callback to who Ten Shinhan used to be in the original World Tournament. Because in the original tournament, he could insult you no problem. He did not have any problem insulting.
Oh yeah, and now he struggles to be a bad person. Yeah.
Now he struggles to even insult anybody because he's grown so much as a person. And that's what I like about this joke. Because originally when Ten Shinhan was shown to us, he was the exact opposite of this. He could insult Yamcha, Goku, anybody, easy. It didn't matter, you know. So that's what I think's funny about this. You're right that it is a reference to, you know, the previous stuff from the Universe 6 tournament. But I appreciate more so that it's like reflecting how much tension has changed. So
well, I'll tell you this. I love that very much, and this is, I've said this. It's been a while since I've said it, but Ten Shinhan has one of the coolest character arcs in the entirety of Dragon Ball, and it's one that I would love to do a deep dive on. But it's one of those things where, look, there's a lot that can be said about Ten Shinhan. I actually love that character, and he's got a great arc. But I know that if I were to make a video about his arc, it would get like 10 views because
what if you
the Dragon Ball
didn't...
fandom. The Dragon Ball fandom just doesn't care about him, bro. He's an OG Dragon Ball character, and he's a jobber to them, and they don't understand his greatness.
Well, when this arc happens, maybe you can frame it in a way to where you can talk him a little bit more, and people actually click on it. You know,
the one that did well for me was Is Tien an Alien, but that's because that was an ongoing. That was like an ongoing
debate at the time.
Yeah, that was something that people had wondered about. But the Ten Shinhan video, just, I don't know. DM Ripper, I'm sure some people will watch the video, but you have to understand, if I were to do a video like that, I want to get good editing on it, and if I were to pay an editor to edit that for me, I would have to make a profit on the video, and sometimes I don't make a profit on a video if it doesn't perform well. Therefore, I'm sure it'll get some views, but it's not going to get the amount of views I think it deserves, and it's going to piss me off because I think people who are not fans of Tien, should watch that video and learn. But how many open-minded people are in this fandom? Not very many.
Right.
I've been here a long time. It pisses me off, to be honest with you, but I mean, you can't expect. I mean, I wish it was different. I really do. Maybe if someday, like, there's some kind of story where he becomes super relevant again, maybe this might be the closest we ever get. So now Chaozu throws on the insults, and I feel bad. The way they draw his face right here, dude, I feel so bad for this guy because he's so like, I feel so bad for him. Like, you know, they insult him and he makes these faces like he's about to cry, bro. And that's what beats him. Like, and then you suck at insulting people, 10. And I like that. But it's like, so this is, you know what trips me out, bro? This is Chaozu's first win since like, what? Since like original Dragon Ball, if even
Forever,
that?
Yeah,
like, this guy never wins, bro, and he won by insulting the robot. But I feel bad for the Metal Man, bro.
Writing. Yeah,
I feel bad for him. So here's Roshi now doing the blindfolded gimmick because now this is classic martial arts movie gimmicks, bro. Blind Fury. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna blindfold and fight and this and that. Jordan, did you know? And I may have told you this. Did you know that there was a scene that was cut from the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie? It was cut out of the film and it was lost because it was on an old SVHS tape, and that thing's been lost to history. Where Leonardo trains the other three turtles on how to fight in the dark, and what he does is he turns their bandanas to the side and he teaches them how to fight with their weapons. He takes on all three of them blindfolded, just like what Roshi's doing here. The scene was in the original script for the Turtles movie. We know for a fact it was shot, and we know for a fact it exists because the trading cards actually had that scene. But
Oh
the
wow.
scene, yeah, you actually see like him train. There's a lot of scenes that were shot for that movie that didn't even get put on deleted scenes because they were lost. So this is stuff that like the film was lost because this movie was shot in 1990, so it's gone. And even to this day, I'm pissed off about that because do you know how awesome that would be? Because you gotta understand, when the turtles go back into town to fight the Foot Clan, it's nighttime and they're whooping their ass. And when you look at it, it's like, well, they're ninjas, but Leonardo teaches them how to fight in darkness, which is why they're able to whoop up on the foot soldiers. And so it makes the whole movie make more sense.
Right, right. Yeah, I hate that they cut that. That sounds awesome.
Dude, there's a lot. I'm not going to go into all of them, but that was one scene that I like. I'm so mad to this day they didn't put in the final cut. It was in the original assembly cut, but not the final cut. So there's a lot about that. Like the director left the project and then they replaced him. And there's a lot of behind the scenes turmoil with that movie. So Roshi's fighting. What?
I said, I see.
Yeah. So Roshi's taking on these gals and he's able to dodge them because, you know, he's Master Roshi. Look what he says. When you stray from the path of goodness, you're bound to pay for it someday. So quit being all evil. Head back to that prison. Just be grateful there's a place where you get to atone. And it's like, that's so like Zen Master fucking Roshi.
Yeah, that's it. Shows that it shows what he's trying to be in comparison to what he is.
Right, right. Iwaza, Kikaza, and Miza are their names. I don't know what the pun is for these girls, bro. I don't remember.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't remember. So then we have this. All right, is it just me, bro, or does this look like a One Piece character? There's got to be a One Piece character. I know I'm not going crazy.
No, it does. It looks that is a One Piece character straight up. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty wacky because this is almost like Ribrianne, except without the powers. And I also the way that Toyotaro draws like her boobs in motion right here, like you see them like moving up. Like if they do this right in the anime version, her tits need to jiggle like it needs to be like Mai from Fatal Fury, where every time she throws a punch, they're jiggling, they're always in motion. Otherwise, the joke I think will get lost on a lot of people. I think that's part of the joke, you know?
Yeah.
But man, she knocks these motherfuckers around. I mean, we're seeing it right here, bro.
She just fused, right? It's a triple fusion. That's pretty crazy.
Was it a triple fusion?
Yeah, it's all three of them.
I didn't even see where they fused.
Yep.
Like, where is it? I'm looking for it. Did they just?
Well, she says all three of their name, and then they fuse. Yeah.
Right, but they didn't actually show a panel of them combining.
It just goes. Bloop,
it's like their own fusion. It's not like the fusion pose. It's like their own.
Right.
Yeah, it must be something with their species. Like the thing about Dragon Ball is there's a lot of different kinds of humans in the world in the universe, and they're not just all from Earth. You know, like somebody will ask, like one of the questions I've gotten a lot is, what race is Raccoon?
Well, they have pointy ears.
No, I know, but they're humanoid. And what I mean is like when we look at Raccoon, people are, is he a Saiyan? No, he's a human. He's just not from Earth. And that's, you know, because I think a lot of...
He's also a mutant from his species.
Well, I think a lot of people forget that just because you're a human does not mean that you're weak. Krillin's a human. Tenshin Han is part human. Yamcha's a human. Like, these guys are all human. But if you train in the martial arts, it doesn't mean you're going to end up weak. Jordan, you there? Jordan, are you there? Did we lose this guy? Jordan, Jordan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
There's like lag, bro.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now you're back. Oh, man, we're never going to this ain't never going to go back to how it was. All right, anyways. So Moro's ship appears. Moro makes it to Earth. Now we got problems. So they're all taking on 7-3, and they're actually doing well against 7-3. It's the android 17 and 18 fighting 7-3, and then Moro appears out of nowhere. And then I like how Piccolo refers to him as the big boss. It's like they know. And Moro tells 7-3, you're not using my techniques properly. And then he says, there will come a time where I'll use his power again. Here, let him recover. And that is good foreshadowing, because that is what happens. So now, Moro orders them to take 7-3 back to the ship, because he's going to step up against these guys. So now we have the big bad villain stepping up against our heroes. And so it looks like it's going to be Moro against Gohan and Piccolo, but there's others there too. And of course, they're talking trash to each other. I mean, there's not really too much to break down here. And then Moro basically is like, you know, let me just take my time with this. Let me eat this planet one by one.
Yeah, and then Gohan's commenting on how his energy feels kind of like cells from the Saiyan saga, or from the Android saga.
Which is probably because there are so many different beings that he's absorbed that that's what I'm taking from that. Moro basically tells them, leave them to me. You guys go back. I'll take care of this. Which that could be an issue. But the first thing he does before that is he upgrades this. What's the name of this guy again? This is not Sagambo, is it?
Yeah,
no, that is Sagambo. That's right. It is Sagambo.
Yeah.
So he powers up Sagambo, and he basically does. He kind of does. I hate to make this comparison, but I think since you and I just recently put out a video about Moro being from the demon realm, what about this, Jordan? This just hit me. What do you think about this? Does this move that Moro does this not kind of remind you of what Neba does to Tamagami 2 and Goku, where he taps into and like sort of unlocks their power? Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's similar to that, except he's just giving him power. But I will say something that I forgot and that we didn't talk about in that Moro video is the fact that within the demon realm, they actually drain people's life energy and give it to the Demon King.
Right.
So
and to Neva. Neva's alive because of that.
Right, exactly. So yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I like what Mecha J says here. They shot him up with energy steroids, basically. I mean, it's even in the back. But yeah, I'm not saying that's the exact. I'm not saying it's the exact same technique. But what I'm saying is, we talked about how all the clues that prove that Moro's from the demon realm is that the guy is proficient in magic, and yet we're seeing magic here that matches up with magic from Daima. Which, by the way, this might be. I don't know if I should even give this out on this video. But I am just going to say it. If you're waiting for Super Saiyan 4 to be in Battle of Gods, you may be disappointed. So, you know, some people want Goku to use it against Beerus and lose. I don't believe that's happening. Now,
we had a whole conversation about that. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people are expecting it, and I'm letting you know. I'm not saying it's not in it. It's just that I've asked around, and nobody seems to confirm that they're going to put it in. Should they? Absolutely. Should they mention it at least? Yes.
Yeah.
But it might not be there, which is going to lead to that's going to lead to a lot of people assuming that that like it's a different continuity. I don't want to deal with that shit, so it's whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on here. So Sagambo attacks 17. He's going in with punches. 17 is really strong at this point, but this power up that Moro gave Sagambo, bro, he's become a real problem. And I actually really like this. It's kind of like a tug of war where you've got Sagambo and you've got 17, 18, and then you've got Gohan, Piccolo, and Jocko wanting to jump in. And this is crazy. So one of Sagambo's fists is like and they're all like, do you know what this reminds me of, bro? Especially this panel right here. Remember in Infinity War when Iron Man, Quill, Spider-Man, they're fighting Thanos and like one's grabbing his right arm, one's grabbing his left. Spider-Man's trying to pull the glove off. It's like a tug of war with his body.
Yeah, I love that.
They're already happening, Mecha J, and they're going to continue. So, he's freaking, and again, it's very similar. He's got these guys all over him, like, you know, like flies on a piece of shit, and then he just breaks free and grabs both of these dudes by the head and slams them down. This is good shit, bro. He uses them as a
weapon first. He uses them as a weapon first. He like smacks
by knock everybody else away. Yeah. And then bam, down he goes. Definitely not the Sagambo that I know. And they're like, oh, and we still have to deal with this one before Moro. Yeah, there's always that like sub boss, you know, like in Dragon Ball Z, you had Captain Ginyu before Frieza, you know, etc. They always do that. Elsewhere, Yamcha's got his hands full. Ten Shinhan is there. This is Zaoyogi. These names are so weird, bro. This is Zaoyogi, this yellow dude right here. They're going to have to hire a lot of voice actors, both in English and Japanese, to voice all these new characters. Meanwhile,
it's cool to see Ten Shinhan and Yamcha like fighting together, just the two of them. That's cool. I mean, Chaozu's there, but
it's cool. But it's cool because those three guys worked together in some of the OG Dragon Ball filler, like they were there. Yep. And then over here, you've got. I actually like this a lot. I like that they're. I don't know if you call it hiding, but they're. It's just funny because they're strategically planning their next move. I don't like to say hiding. Meanwhile, Goku is on his way back to Earth, and he's sensing everything that's going on. He's sensing that, well, his friends are getting their asses whipped. And they're running out of energy. So Goku's trying to teleport them. Trying to teleport to them, excuse me. But there's not enough energy for him to do it.
Oh, so this is so cool. I love this. I love Krillin like hopping up on the hill and powering up out of desperation for Goku to show up.
That's How did he know?
Because they're not even communicating. Well, I mean, you saw in ROF, like Gohan had to power up to like get for.
Well, I know that, but I'm saying, how did Krillin know Goku was on his way?
I love that he didn't actually know. Like, I actually love that. I really love that he didn't actually know, and that he was just like out of desperation, like, I want my friend here. Let's try this, and then it actually works. Like, I love that. I actually really do love that.
Xavier, I already explained earlier that it doesn't matter about what the fans think.
Xavier's watching the episode behind too.
You have to be, you have to be, dude, because I already explained that I'm not going to pay an editor to edit a video for me that's not going to make me even a little bit of a profit. Like, that'll be a waste of time. Like,
right.
I already explained that earlier, bro. It has nothing to do with what the fans think. Like, I didn't even mention the fans. I'm just talking about how people aren't going to click that video. So Goku manages to detect Krillin's energy and zaps. Well, he's about to zap to Earth, and then bam, he zaps to Earth. I love the fact that Toyotaro here draws Goku outside the panel. This is something that you really see a lot more of in American comics, where you have a character like popping out of a panel, because in order to draw something like this, you have to really think about how you're going to make the panel look.
Yep.
Because you can't just, like, if you're drawing it, like, and then come up with the idea halfway through, you have to kind of in your head think about, well, how am I going to do this? And some of the great artists of all time, Mark Silvestri, Jim Lee, these are guys that I grew up with, Jordan. They're like the early X-Men, like the early 90s X-Men guys, late 80s X-Men guys. Eric Larson, these guys are really good at drawing like characters badass outside of panels. And we do know for a fact that Toyotaro is influenced by American comics. We know that.
Well, yeah, Toriyama was too. Toriyama did a few of those. He just doesn't do it as often as Toyotaro, for sure.
He doesn't do it as often as American comics do. Like, I've noticed that Japan manga paneling tends to stay within the lines a lot more.
Yeah.
Not saying it's impossible, just within the lines a lot more. All right, chapter 58, Son Goku arrives. I love how they're giving us the names here of these characters, and this is when they first got booked.
They don't even show Goku whooping that chick. They just show Goku looking down all viciously after he's beat the crap out of all three of them.
Well, I think he beat the crap out of the one big one, and they all defused, right?
Right, that makes sense, yeah.
Now, here's the question. This is going to be a little controversial, but when they adapt this to anime, when this becomes an anime, are they going to actually show Goku beating up those women or beating up the big chick? Or will they just cut to them being knocked down? I'm only asking because man on woman violence nowadays is not as common on television as it was during the days of Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z, Android 18 and Vegeta, and then of course Sapopovich and Videl, that was like normal shit back then. But nowadays, what do you think? What should they do?
I think as many times as a dude beats the crap out of a woman on One Piece, they'll be fine.
So I don't watch One Piece. So you're saying that does happen?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I've never seen One Piece. I'm purposely avoiding One Piece until we get back to...
Plus, she kind of has a grotesque look when she's in her fused form. And they can kind of use that to, like, basically soften the blow a little bit, make her look like a giant mutated lady who's, like, like a monster almost. So that, it kind of softens the blow of the idea that Goku's beating the crap out of a woman,
Right.
Because she's like she's a giant mutated monster,
When it comes to like my opinion on this matter, Danny, I'm an 80s baby. I don't think that this is a big deal because it's fiction and it's not like these women are innocent women. These are like criminals that are powered. And now I'm not saying that Goku has to like batter them, but if Goku just fires a couple of ki blasts and knocks them on their ass, I don't think that that's going to be all that bad.
Right.
I just thought it'd be a good time to talk about this because people seem to be very worried about like the violence of the Moro arc anime versus the manga, and I just don't think it's going to be as violent, bro. It's just not. I just don't see it.
Right.
Like, we live in a different era. Now, do I want there to be a bloody version? Yes. I wish they would actually I wish that what Toei did was have a censored and an uncensored version of Dragon Ball Super or whatever, right? And then you have the censored one on Fuji TV and the uncensored one on streaming. That way, like, people can, that like what the old dub used to do, because then at least you give people the choice. And you can just have less blood and,
Right.
So I'm just saying, again, for me, I'm not like one of these guys that's, oh no, you can't show the violence. I want to see the violence, but I'm thinking about what they're thinking. Right. I'm thinking about how they're going to go through all this. So Goku shows up. Now, this is classic Dragon Ball Z. This is Goku in Dragon Ball Z multiple times. The big heroic return. He's back.
Yeah, we hadn't got to see this in a way that I was really satisfied with until now. Like, I know he like showed up at the last second in ROF, and but I liked that scene in terms of like what it did for Gohan more than I liked what it did for Goku. Like the fact that like Gohan like was willing to die to bring Goku back to try and save Earth. Like that's my favorite part of that scene where he like comes at the last second. But this feels like back in the day in Dragon Ball Z, whenever Goku's gone half the arc, and then he's like there for the final stretch. Like it's a feeling that I hadn't got to feel in a while,
yeah, because in all the other stories of Super, he's always there. Battle of Gods, he's the one that fights Beerus twice, even though he is gone for a little bit. Resurrection F, he fights Frieza first, outside of like the one Gohan punch. The Universe 6 tournament, he fights first and last. Don't forget. The Trunks arc, he goes back and forth to the future a bunch of times. Tournament of Power, he's always there. This is the first time we're getting Dragon Ball Z Goku, and I'm okay with it. I also want to address something in the chat real quick, because Roscoe said Goku beat the hell out of Kefla, but then Weasel's right. He said Kefla fight was beam struggles. I think that that Toei is more willing to do beam struggles man on woman than actual punches in the modern era. We're talking about nowadays versus back in the 90s was different. Right. So I'm with you, Jordan. I like Goku getting... The thing about what people have to remember is when Toriyama was writing the Z portion of the story, he had to keep coming up with ways of taking Goku out and bringing him in again. He dies at the beginning of the arc of Saiyan Saga. He's on his way to Namek. Then the whole Ginyu body switch thing happens. He's gone again. He gets the heart virus. He's out for a while. Then he comes back. Then he goes in the room of spirit and time with Gohan. Then he comes back. Then he dies for the Buu saga. He's dead for the majority of it. Comes back for a little bit. Has to go back to the afterlife. Then comes back at the end. So he always figured out creative ways of writing Goku out. And I do think that Toyotaro did a good job with this. I really do. I really think he did a great job. Like giving us a logical reason as to why Goku and Vegeta are not present throughout the majority of the arc. And this dude, the arc needs it, bro. Like you have to take them out of the fight, dude.
Because there's no tension if the strongest people on Earth are right there waiting to fight the strongest villains. There's got and there needs to be some sort of rescue element to it, and that's what this is.
And in Superhero, it was kind of different because Goku and Vegeta weren't there at all.
Yep.
It had to be Gohan in them. So the key thing is you don't want to have the entire arc be Goku versus everyone. I think Toriyama did that in the Red Ribbon Army arc, and I think it works there more than it did later in the series.
Right. So Krillin asks Goku if he's worried because Goku does seem like uncharacteristically bothered and uncharacteristically worried. And Goku basically just responds that he doesn't say that he's worried. He says that he's excited. So that basically just goes to show you that, despite the fact that we're in these high stakes situations, what Goku's thinking about is the fight against Moro and what it might actually end up being like. He's not necessarily thinking about the global situation per se. He's thinking about how the fight with Moro is actually going to play out and whether or not he's going to be able to surpass Moro using his training that he just got with Mirrors. So basically the reason I bring that up is to point out that Goku, although there's all this like crazy stuff happening, there's all these criminals and stuff running around, and they're endangering the entire Earth. Goku's not thinking about any of that, and the reason I want to bring that up is because, and I think I've talked about this before, but when you do martial arts, what makes you a master martial artist is your ability to hone in on the fight itself and not think about any external things that are happening outside the fight, because that takes away from your ability to focus on the fight.
And that's very difficult, by the way, what you're talking about. That can be very difficult. You're talking about distractions.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of people give Goku crap for having this sort of mindset where he's like he's fight centric. He's thinking about the fight first.
But the reason Jordan, that's hypocritical of them, because we do that. Jordan, let's say you and I are playing basketball and we're competitive basketball players. I don't want to think about what my girlfriend's doing. I don't want to think about my problems at home. I don't want to think about oh my God, I have this. No, I want to think about winning the game. Or even if you're playing a video game. Have you ever been in a situation where you're playing a video game and a chick hey, would you like some burgers? No, leave me the fuck alone. I'm almost done. And you know what I mean? You're so locked in. Don't distract me. Like that's even we deal with that like outside of being fighters. That's just how we are. Is what I'm saying.
Right. But what I'm getting at is that Goku, he's naturally like that biologically because he's a Saiyan and because he was raised by Grandpa Gohan to basically get his fix for violence through martial arts based fights. Like, he's a Saiyan. He wants to fight. He wants to experience violence. And the way he gets to go about doing that is situations like this. And that's the reason he's excited. And it's also the reason that he has a natural talent for focusing on the fight in the moment and not thinking about anything else, because he's essentially, I know people call him a battle addict, and that is kind of what you can call him, but it's not necessarily that he's an adrenaline junkie per se. He is, but he has a biological need for violence. Like it actually, like he has a biological craving for violence. So the reason he's excited is because, and he's not bothered, is because he is thinking about the fight from the standpoint of a martial arts fight. He's not thinking about it from the standpoint of a life or death situation, because if he does, he'll lose faith in himself and he'll start to essentially waver on his ability to maintain his cool and win the fight. So he has to sort of like look at the fight as like me and you would, from a competitive standpoint, where I've been training for this. This is my big break. I need to like get in and like show what I'm made of, and focus on nothing but the fight. So
Yes, and also one thing I love, because I've trashed Toyotaro for bad writing in the past, but this is actually good writing right here. When he has Goku say he could still be hiding some of his power. One of the tropes of this series, bro, going all the way back to the past is, oh, is that your true power? I have a secret form, or I have a secret power. I like the fact that Goku inside already knows that this guy might not even be going all out yet. He swallows some planets. One of the things that annoys me is that it seems like Goku is always cognizant of this, and so many other people are not within the series itself. Like Piccolo and Krillin and Tenshinhan and Vegeta are like, wait, he's got more power? Oh
Yeah.
my god. And it's like, you should know by now, bro. No, you can't underestimate any of these guys.
right,
You can't.
Right. This shows some character growth and some conscious thought on Goku's part that you enjoy, which I appreciated as well. So
Yeah, but I'm just saying that, like, it is a trope. It's not a trope that I hate. It's just, it's a trope that exists, that it can be used for comedy. But I'm glad that Goku is learning from it. So of course Goku says he's excited, and then that kind of. But here's the question. Here's like legit. Is Goku actually excited, or is he just saying that to make Krillin feel better?
no, I think he is actually excited. They allude to it later on whenever they show Goku's conversation with Miras later on in the next volume. So yeah, I think he is actually excited. But I think he is also telling Krillin that to make him feel. I think you're right about that. I think he is trying to make Krillin feel better. Tell Gaming Hub to read to
we already, a lot of these guys are behind, bro. Y'all are behind. Hubuk, but we addressed this already, dude. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
he's way
wondering how
behind.
many of you guys are behind. Is the live stream behind? I mean, I can't, because some people are following what we're saying. So maybe for some it's behind. Y'all gotta either, well, if they're behind, just, I'm not saying to skip. I mean, you could listen to the archive will be up no matter what, so no worries. So Goku shows up to save Yamcha from a punishing blow here, and he fucks this motherfucker up with that freaking right hook to the gut, bro. He knocked him so hard that he knocked him out, and he's carrying him over his back, bro. I love that, bro. He hits him, and then the dude passes out over his shoulder, and he's like holding him up, bro.
Yep.
Beautiful, bro. Beautiful. And then he's like, did you guys beat up the other prisoners? They're like, yeah, even those weaklings. Then Goku's like, great. But I wonder if Goku's really like, damn, I wanted to fight all those guys, but whatever.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, too much for me to tango. So I like how Goku is basically traveling from place to place. First, he helps Krillin and Roshi. Now he helps Tenshinhan, Yamcha, Chaozu, right?
Yep.
Now he's about to help
dogs.
17 and 18. Yeah, but I like that. I like how he's doing the Goku as a hero thing on like multiple different places. Does that bother you? Does that annoy
Hell
you?
no.
Because I know some people get annoyed by that. You know what I've noticed, Jordan? Have you noticed that? And I don't want to go into a whole rant about this, because I already ranted about it this past Saturday on my Twitch stream. Have you noticed that the people... Hubuk is definitely behind, bro. Have you noticed, Jordan, that the people that trash the writing of Goku are almost always Vegeta fanboys who think that he should kill a main villain? Have you noticed that correlation?
Yeah, but I think they fundamentally misunderstand Goku's arc. I was just talking about.
I think they misunderstand the entire series, to be honest.
Well, they do, but I think they more than anything misunderstand Goku's arc. Goku's relationship with killing, and we talked about this on the old Mangalorian. It's not necessarily like learning that killing is bad, killing is good, because I've heard people say that Goku learned killing is bad from Android 8, but despite the fact that he literally does a prayer whenever he kills Major Metallitron because he felt that it was wrong that he killed a robot. So he already had some sort of understanding that killing was wrong. And then people will also say that he learned to kill after Frieza because, Frieza just would not,
A lot of that's not
change.
true.
Yeah, and in that very next arc, Goku has the opportunity to kill the androids early. Like there's literally just a few pages between like Goku being like, "Man, I should have killed Frieza. He was no good," and him being like, "Well, actually, I don't want to kill the androids because what if they are worth fighting? So basically, Goku's arc is about not falling victim to killing for malicious or hateful purposes. It's not about killing.
Killing is a last
good.
resort.
Yeah. It's not about killing being bad or good. That's not what it's about. It's about making sure that when he does kill somebody, that he doesn't fall victim to a malicious reasoning for doing that. He has to have some sort of pure. Basically, if you go back to Namek, whenever Goku's fighting Frieza, like he's taming his malicious nature as a Super Saiyan that entire fight. Goku, that entire fight when he's a Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan is basically his rage, and being in the Super Saiyan state is trying to convince him. He's having conscious, malicious thoughts within him that are trying to convince him to kill Frieza for the sake of the Saiyans and everybody else that he's wronged, because he deserves
his best
it.
friend.
And his best friend, and Goku felt within himself that Frieza deserved to die, but that was the maliciousness that Super Saiyan was causing within Goku. Goku's not normally like that. Goku normally doesn't have any malicious intent because he's pure of heart. That's the entire purpose of his character, is that he's pure of heart. So Goku's arc is about not falling victim to malicious intent within the context of killing. Now, martial arts has rules about this. If you're going to kill somebody, you do it instantly without any malicious thoughts or any malicious intentions to survive, because it's a necessity and not necessarily because you want to consciously hurt said person. When you want to consciously hurt said person, that's when it becomes wrong. When you actually feel a hateful resentment type attitude towards somebody and you want them to suffer, that is what's wrong. That is what Goku has to wrestle with and what he has to prevent feeling in order to successfully kill somebody and maintain his purity and still get to go to heaven and still be considered this like pure mortal that the entire story like looks up to or whatever. It's just making sure that when he does kill somebody that he doesn't do it with malicious thoughts. So most people just don't understand that about Goku's character. They don't understand that the themes of Goku's character are centered around making sure that he maintains his purity. Now, Toriyama even talked about this. Toriyama did an interview where he talked about how he didn't like how Goku was portrayed. He didn't like the righteous hero
by Toei. Yeah,
he did not like the righteous hero portrayal of Goku, and the reason for that is, if you are fighting for a righteous cause, if you are fighting for a sense of justice, your perception of morality or justice can be just as flawed as anybody else.
Jordan.
And that's why that can't be Goku's reasoning, because Goku would have to develop a personal perception of what good and evil is rather than just following his heart and doing what's naturally good. So Goku doesn't fight for like righteous or justice and dignified reasons. Like, he doesn't fight for those reasons. Like, he fights to test himself and to get stronger. And Toriyama said that he wanted, more than anything else, he wanted people to look at Goku and say that there is nobody as pure as this character. That is what he wanted. Toriyama wanted you to look at Goku and see was how pure he was. That was the focus that Toriyama wanted you to have on Goku's character. Now, Goku also has this poison within him that Toriyama talked about. And the poison within him is just what I talked about earlier. It's his craving for violence as a Saiyan, okay? He constantly craves violence, and if it wasn't for Grandpa Gohan, and this is why Grandpa Gohan's so particularly important. It's not necessarily just that Goku hit his head. It's not that Goku became calmer and more, I guess you could say, tame after he was raised by Grandpa Gohan. It's the fact that Grandpa Gohan gave Goku martial arts as an outlet for his violence, okay? because martial arts is about constantly taming your malicious thoughts, your malicious nature. So what that did is anytime Goku is at the point to where he could give into his malicious nature, and he could remember when Raditz showed up and he was like, "Hey Goku, I want you to go kill 100 people, because if you kill 100 people, you're going to start to enjoy killing people. You're going to enjoy it, and that's going to awaken your nature as a Saiyan." And because of Grandpa Gohan teaching Goku specifically martial arts, anytime Goku is in a situation where he almost falls victim to that, he almost falls victim to wanting to kill his opponent, wanting to enjoy killing his opponent, because he's a martial artist, in the end, he does not. Instead, he practices the principles he was taught. And it's funny, because the principles he was taught ultimately end up allow him to fight and have more fun against stronger opponents than the old Saiyans ever got to experience. So his approach actually ends up being better for his enjoyment as a Saiyan in terms of getting his fix for combat as well. And that's the reason that he's constantly talking about how, he just wants to fight strong opponents, is because, all of this works out in a way to where not only do the characters around him become better people, but he also ends up getting to get his fix. He also ends up getting to fight these strong opponents that he wants to fight, and constantly breaking his limits and getting stronger constantly. So it's we've talked about this before. It's short-term chaos, long-term gain, long-term benefit. And that's what a lot of people don't get about Goku's character, because they see that short-term chaos and they're like, oh, well, Goku's not a good guy because he caused this short-term chaos, right? Like, that's the reason people like Vegeta's approach, is because Vegeta's trying to nip it in the bud. He's trying to kill the villain before they get the chance to even cause any of that chaos. But the problem with that is that Vegeta's not doing it for the right reasons. Vegeta does it because he enjoys it. He does it because he wants to do it. He enjoys killing people. It makes him feel good. So he never really gets to have the benefit, the long-term benefit that Goku gets out of any of these situations, because he's the opposite of Goku in that sense. He constantly gives in to that part of his nature where where at the very end, whenever he's got the opponent down on the ground and he's ready to kill him, he never gets to do it because he wants to kill him, because he wants to hurt them. And he's never going to be rewarded for that attitude. And that style of storytelling is fundamental to Dragon Ball. If you go back and you look at all of Dragon Ball, that happens consistently. Goku is tested to see whether or not he will give in to the malicious intent of the Saiyans and become somebody like Vegeta. And because he doesn't give into it, he's constantly rewarded for it. Whereas Vegeta, he gets some sort of short-term reward for having that attitude, but in the long term, it always bites him in the ass for having that attitude. So, if fans could learn that, they would probably learn to appreciate Goku and Vegeta's dynamic a little bit more, because I don't want Goku becoming Vegeta, and I don't want Vegeta becoming Goku. I want them to retain what they are as characters, because that's what makes them so interesting and so enjoyable. So I think if people looked at it that way, they would be way less likely to complain about, Goku Vegeta.
You went way deeper than. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That we do that kind of stuff here. You went way deeper than what this guy was. So this guy was new to the chat, and he was trying to convince me. First of all, and I've said that, and I said this in Twitch, and this is gonna sound arrogant. It's gonna sound egotistical, but it's the truth. The amount of people that I can actually learn Dragon Ball from, I can count them on one hand, maybe two if I really think. And that's not that. I know that sounds arrogant. I know it does. No, but I mean, people are going to take that and think the wrong thing. Listen, I have watched the people in this community. I've watched YouTube. I've seen the kind of content people make. I don't really watch Dragon Ball tubers anymore because I like to stay positive, and watching Dragon Ball tubers and hearing the shit that comes out of their mouth sometimes just drives me up a wall. So it's better for my mental health that I stay away from that, because just because you know how people are and their opinions and the cringe. Anyways,
I'm exactly like you.
I know. I don't watch Dragon Ball people, but here's the thing. This guy was trying to convince me And this is how I broke his argument in 2 seconds. I destroyed his argument because I told him, I said, and again, this is not, again, I made this clear. This is not me being arrogant. You're not going to teach me about Dragon Ball, bro. You're just not. Talk about the guy in the chat. He says, how can you, he goes, prove to me that Toriyama does not hate Vegeta. And his example was, and this is the one that I see a lot from this group of people. Well, if Toriyama didn't hate Vegeta, he would have let Vegeta kill Frieza in Resurrection F. And I told him, I said, okay, so by your logic, if the writing didn't go exactly the way that you wanted it to go, that means that Akira Toriyama hates Vegeta without having a single conversation with Toriyama, without looking deeper into the story, without thinking outside of your own Vegeta fanboyism, without taking an extra fucking minute to think about why it didn't happen. No, if it doesn't go the way that you want it to go, it's wrong, it's bad. And that's the one thing, Jordan, if there was one thing about this fandom that is the most annoying thing to me, whether it be from the dub defenders or from anybody, the one thing they all have in common, bro, is they make up their own Dragon Ball. The actual Dragon Ball on the page or on the screen is not what they fucking watch. They have their own version of the series, whether it be Goku's a bad dad, whether it be Gohan secretly hates Goku, Raditz was actually a good guy the whole time. People literally fan fiction their own version of the series. Now, if you're writing fan fiction and you want to get your jollies off of that and you say it's fan fiction, cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But to try and convince me of something that I know is objectively wrong, you're just going to look stupid. So I told the guy, I said, okay, by your logic, let's use your logic here. If Toriyama hates Vegeta, and that's why Vegeta didn't kill Frieza, then that must mean that Toriyama hates Piccolo, Yamcha, Tenshinhan, Roshi, and I started naming every fucking character. 17, 18. Why didn't they kill a main villain?
Right.
Toriyama must hate them. Like,
no.
Do you know how stupid? But you sound so stupid when you say shit
it's
like
because,
that.
It's because
like you sound so stupid. But
Vegeta
they don't even see how
fans,
stupid they sound.
Vegeta fans are Vegeta fans because they agree with his approach. They agree with how he approaches.
Not realizing that his approach is very flawed. That's why he's a good character. That's why he's a good character, because he's flawed.
Exactly. So
if he was perfect, he'd be boring.
No, yeah, exactly. I agree with you 100%. Now, the thing is that narrative of, oh, well, we should just take it. Basically, they're logical thinkers in the sense that they just think that the villain should be killed when the characters have the chance to do it. They look at the series as much more of like a superhero type thing than they do an actual like kung fu manga.
That's the dub and Toonami's fault.
Right. So, like, in their mind, you know, it's almost an insecurity type thing, and this is how I interpret those types.
There's some of that there, just like Bardock and Goku have. A lot of people have daddy issues, and they project them onto Bardock and Goku.
Well, when you see a superhero show, right, and you're in the fandom with a bunch of comic book nerds, they do this thing where they hyper fixate on characters, and then they'll say, well, this character's trash because he had the opportunity to save these people and he didn't do it, and he didn't do this thing right, and that's the reason this character's trash. That's the reason these comic book writers are trash. And they essentially take that logic and they extrapolate it to Dragon Ball. Even though Dragon Ball is a completely separate product with a completely separate narrative, not even close to the same thing as a comic book in terms of like what they're actually narratively trying to portray, they move directly from the Reddit about comic books where they're constantly hyper fixating on superheroes making mistakes, and they bring that attitude to Dragon Ball, and it's just that attitude doesn't work in Dragon Ball.
After what we just talked about, look at this comment. It's like,
so here let me just say something.
It's like, fuck, dude.
I will answer your question wholeheartedly.
You shouldn't answer it. That's not even.
No,
worth
I'm going
answering.
to. I'm going to answer it wholeheartedly. So, do you remember when Vegeta defeated Goku in Superhero? Like, Toriyama finally let Vegeta beat Goku in Superhero.
Even though Vegeta beat him in Dragon Ball Z twice, but okay.
Well, Vegeta didn't consider it a win. You know what I mean? Like Vegeta himself didn't consider it a win because he had this attitude about combat where unless he killed Goku, he didn't win. So when he was put in a fight where it's like there is no killing, this is a martial arts battle, and he finally got to beat Goku within the context of martial arts, that was because Vegeta was forced to practice the same sort of principles that Goku ends up practicing against villains that makes him successful. So if Vegeta's arc ever reaches a level where when Vegeta has the villain down, like he has him down, and Vegeta has mastered his ability to resist his malicious intentions, then you will see Vegeta kill a main villain. But until then, you're never going to see it. Until Vegeta's arc reaches a point to where when he has the villain ready to kill, he's not doing it for himself in any way. He's not doing it because he feels guilty. He's not doing it because he wants to hurt the person in front of him. Any of those things. He's just doing it to protect everyone and to survive. When you see Vegeta and that being his only motivation, you will see Vegeta kill a main villain. So there you go.
I agree completely. That's exactly what it's going to take. And I know, and I have an idea of when it's going to happen, but I'm not going to talk about it because I'm sick of talking about it. The point is, bro, the bottom line to everything is this idea that if Vegeta didn't do what I want him to do, it's because Toriyama hates him. Like, that type of black and white thinking is like 8th grade shit. Like, that's the type of shit where it's like,
this is a
when I see somebody say that, though, in my head, the first thing I think of is you're a little kid or you're just an idiot. Because by that logic, Jordan, like, I could say that for any character. Well, Piccolo didn't kill a main villain, Toriyama must hate him. Like, what? Like, now, I want to address Hugo here. No, I am not spamming. I'm not accusing you of spamming, bro. I'm talking about this other guy who's asking questions that I'm not going to answer on the stream. Right. So you do not come in the chat asking the same question over and over again. We have a rule against that. I'm not saying that you're doing that, Hugo. You did not do that. I'm not saying you did. But I wrote. Go ahead.
But and it was, it is a surface level question, but sometimes it's okay to ask those, so it's fine. It's whatever.
No, it is okay. I'm not against him asking the question, especially since he came in late. I'm just making sure that he knows that I wasn't talking to him when I said to stop spamming. It was not you. Right. Junior says, Hubuk sounds like I'm Fukti. Dios te bendiga. That's very... You know who said Dios te bendiga to me, bro? Was freaking... what's his name from La Bamba at the convention, bro? That was nice. He's Puerto Rican. All right, so let's get back to the manga, bro. All right, so the battle's continuing. I love the flipping effects here. Toyotaro's art and action panels are really, really good.
Oolong is not low-key Pigsy from Journey to the West. He is high-key Pigsy from Journey to the West.
That's like asking if Goku is Wukong.
Yeah, the episode that Oolong is introduced in is 1-to-1, almost exactly the same legend of whenever Sun Wukong went into the village and found a pig demon trying to marry a local human woman. Like that episode is literally just an adaptation of the story beat from Journey to the West.
I believe we covered that. I think on the first Mangalorian. Was it the first one or the second one? It was one of the first ones that we did.
I think it was the first one or the second one. I don't remember, but it was one of those.
One of those two. All right, so check that out. All right, back to this. So Gohan and Piccolo working together. This is not really foreshadowing for Superhero because I don't think Toyotaro had all the details of it, but Gohan and Piccolo work together in the TOP also. It's just they have that friendship, bro, that master-student friendship. Gohan cares about Piccolo like he was an uncle, like he was a father, even though he's not Gohan's real father.
At the very least,
But there's a love there. Piccolo sacrificed himself, like he cares about him. And because Gohan was the first one to treat Piccolo like a person and not like a freak. So Moro shows up, right, with his arms crossed. Because nothing says I'm a badass more than his arms crossed on some Vegeta shit. He shows up. Piccolo and Gohan are getting their asses kicked, right? And Moro's just at this point watching. He's just watching Sagambo just humiliate these guys. Right, and it's just funny because even like Jocko's like, why are you taking orders from Moro? But it's like, Jocko, he's the one that gave Moro his power. Moro could
Right.
kill him if he doesn't do what he wants, bro.
Well, he also got them out of prison too.
That's right. They're loyal to him, bro. Yeah, Moro's always aura farming, bro. And so, moving on to the next panel, he's like, huh? Bam! He gets hit and goes. This is great. He knows that something weird's going on. Doesn't know what yet. Toyotaro takes his time. Yes, S.I. Morales, bro. Thank you. I'm sorry, bro. My mind is actually focused on Dragon Ball right now. Unlike the last Mandalorian where I was a fucking mess. At least in this Mangalorian, I'm focused again. So Sagambo. So I like how Toyotaro takes his time here. So Sagambo's confused. Somebody hits him. And then it's like, wait, someone's whooping his ass, but you can't see who it is. And Moro's like, what? And then Gohan senses that it's his dad. Meanwhile, you don't really see.
Piccolo can't even sense his ki. He's moving that fast. Like he's basically invisible.
But Jocko can see.
Yeah, Jocko can't see him. Jocko could see almost anything. Yeah.
But that's the thing that's trippy, is from the very beginning, the series has taught us that you don't see with your eyes. You sense energy. And Jocko does not know how to do that. But because he's an alien, he's built different, literally. Yeah. And thus his eyes can see Goku. But I really love that you're seeing Goku completely destroy this motherfucker with blow after blow after blow. But you're not seeing Goku. Yeah. What a great entrance, bro. Just imagine... like on what's that movie called? Liar Liar. I'm kicking my ass. Like he doesn't even know what's going on, and Moro's over here trying to. Moro can't even fucking see, bro.
Yep.
Like he can't even see, and we still haven't seen Goku. Look at this. 2 more pages, no Goku. Then we finally see Goku over here. Moro sent him flying because he's useless to him now, And then Goku says, I was hoping to beat you too. I guess it won't be that simple. So now...
Yeah, he wanted to beat him right away. That's important to focus on, is that he wanted to instantly defeat him, and he can't. So.
Yeah, Mecha J gets my point here. It's a rare reversal where a person's eyes can see the fight, but not sense them. That was the point I was making. Sometimes, I realize this about myself, is that sometimes I'm not that good of a communicator. So I'm glad that you... got that for me. Like sometimes I can suck as a communicator, which is bad because this is YouTube and you have to be able to communicate. But forgive me. So Moro immediately knows that Goku's way stronger, and Moro's also way stronger. Sagambo is still in the game, and then he wants to fight, and then Goku's like, listen, go back to prison. And then he's like, I'm not going back to the Slammer, which is a great line because the Slammer is one of my favorite. What's your favorite slang term for prison, bro? Mine is the pokey. Does anybody call it the pokey anymore?
I've heard that in movies, but I've never heard it like no. I don't know many slang terms for prison, to be honest.
There's behind bars, there's the Slammer, there's the pokey. There's got to be more, bro.
Yeah, there's got to be more, but I don't know them like right offhand. Slammer's probably like the most common one that I've heard. The clink,
synonyms. Yeah, the clink. That's a good one.
The dungeon,
penitentiary, detention center, reformatory, the clink, the Hoosgow. I googled it, bro. Brig. Oh, that's a military prison. Well, anyways, no, my favorite is the pokey. I don't know why. I just put the smile on my face.
Up the road.
Yeah. So Sagambo's there. Goku's like, let me take on this guy by myself, which that's Dragon Ball Z Goku in a nutshell. He goes into Super Saiyan Blue. Great panel work by Toyotaro here. The way he draws Goku there. He's improved so much, as we've talked about as we go through these. Now here comes Sagambo giving him everything he's got, and Goku's literally doing the Neo from the Matrix and blocking all his hits with one arm, bro. Counter punches with a right hook to the gut. This guy's bleeding now. Once again, blood you can only find in the manga. kicks this motherfucker away. He gets on the wall, rebounds back to Goku, connects with a knee, and then Goku's like, oh, okay, so you're not that weak. He dodges, kicks him back. This is a good little fight, bro. It's not long, but it's good. And then Goku says, being sturdy is not enough to beat me, which is a great line, and knocks him on his ass with the double axe, bro.
Yeah, I love this fight.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, and then Piccolo, way stronger than the last time we saw him in blue form. Looks like his training paid off, and he's like, it's over. He's not going to get up again. He just basically is like, no, I'm done with this guy, bro. The pen. I can't believe I forgot the pen, bro.
Yeah, the pen, yeah.
All right, let's address this super chat here, because I want to talk about this briefly. Speed Punch says, I watch Enter the Dragon and Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, and those films are more Dragon Ball than Dragon Ball Evolution will ever be. Yeah. True. Yeah. Speaking of Dragon Ball, loose connection here, but Spider-Man comes out tomorrow, and it's directed by Dustin Daniel Creighton, who directed Shang-Chi, which is also like Dragon Ball. Are you going to see Spider-Man tomorrow?
Yeah, well, I don't know about tomorrow, but I am going to take my son to get it, to go see it, yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow. I got tickets for noon tomorrow, so I've heard good things, so we'll see. I've heard mixed things, but I've heard mostly positive, so.
That's good.
I mean, well, you can't, I'm not expecting it to be life-changing, bro. Doomsday, on the other hand, that could be life-changing. The Can, that's another one. Yeah, The Can's another one for people that for prison, so. Yeah, I heard about the live-action Naruto, bro. I don't like live-action anime, so I'm never going to agree with that, even if it's good. Right. But Jordan and I gave you a lot of options for films that are like anime, so you've got that going. That's on the Super Magic Show. So maybe Moro gave him another power boost, and then he's like, "Are you still able to fight Sagambo? Sagambo's fucked up." And then he's like, "Do I give you a bit more power?" So then Moro actually gives Sagambo another boost of power, but Goku's like, "No, his body can't handle it." Look at this guy frothing and foaming at the mouth, bro. Again, this is something that the anime is probably not going to give us like a real good... Like, I think they're going to not make it as sloppy and slimy as this goes. Like, I don't know, is he going to be foaming at the mouth in the anime version too? I mean, I hope so.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Goku's like, he's attacking Goku, and Goku's like, bro, your body's about to fall apart. And like... You know, and the thing is, what this shows, what's going on here is that Moro does not give a shit about Sagambo's life. Moro is a complete and utter psychopath. He does not care about his own men. He does not care about his own men. He will pump them up with power as much as possible himself, even if it means risking their lives, if it entertains him. He just does not care.
What? Yeah, that's right.
He's just evil, bro. And basically, Moro is continuing to give him more and more power.
Yeah, because he wants to see Goku use whatever he was using to basically be invisible that entire time, and Goku's not using Ultra Instinct, and he basically he's going to keep powering up Sagambo until Goku reaches the point that he has to use Ultra Instinct. But Sagambo's body craps out before he can do it. And what I like about this, you see that bottom left panel?
Well, I just want to add to what you're saying is this, like, yeah, the Moro is basically using his own man to play on Goku's sympathy, because Goku has sympathy for Sagambo. Goku does not want Sagambo to die like this. And he's telling Moro, dude, you're killing this guy. But Moro doesn't give a fuck, which that again shows Goku's good nature. In Goku's mind, Sagambo could eventually be turned good. We don't know that, but Moro doesn't give a shit. So what were you saying about that panel?
Does that bottom left panel look familiar to you at all?
Where the beam goes through his head?
Yeah. That's actually not a beam going through his head. It's like a slash going on in the background to represent the fact that his body just gave out. That's actually not a beam actually going through his head. It's like a thing that they put in the background to signify
that he's done.
Yeah, it's what happened to Goku in the anime in the Tournament of Power when he used Ultra Instinct, and we said that Goku's body wasn't able to withstand the divine energy of Ultra Instinct. It's just a lesser version of that because, of course, he's not using divine energy. But basically, the resolution to this arc and the focus of this arc in terms of like what sort of progress Goku needed to make, despite the fact that the manga does not follow the anime, Toyotaro did take from the anime in the sense that the focus of what Goku needs within this arc to be able to use Ultra Instinct correctly is having his body honed to the point that he will not have this effect. He will not have, no matter how much energy Ultra Instinct gives him, it's not going to backfire like it did in the original Tournament of Power in the anime. Despite the fact that that didn't happen in the anime, this is still playing on that. Toyotaro still saw that, and he chose to play on that as a development for Goku within this arc. So this is foreshadowing for that. The fact that Sangonbo's body cannot handle that much energy is foreshadowing for what Goku or Moro would need to be able to essentially have enough energy to win the fight against each other. This is foreshadowing. Because once you have so much energy, if your body's not capable of withstanding it, then it's useless to you.
And the way that you get your body to withstand this through training, which Sagambo clearly has not done.
Right.
This is artificial power boosting.
Yeah, and Moro, he talks about earlier in the arc about how he was running around eating planets to test whether or not his body would absorb too much energy, and it never did. So Moro is under the impression that he basically has no limit. He basically can just absorb as much energy as he wants, and his body's never going to give out due to the sheer amount of energy within it. So this is basically showing the difference between Moro and Sangonbo, and it's also showing the difference between Goku and Sangonbo, and it's also foreshadowing what they're going to need to win against each other in this fight. So,
well, another comparison you could make, and this is something that was a part of the story in both the original manga and Super, and the movies as well, is the whole Golden Frieza thing. How when Frieza first unlocked his golden form, his body was not yet ready to use that form in combat for an extended period of time. But Frieza didn't know any better. The thing about combat, especially in Dragon Ball, is that your body has to be ready to take that kind of energy as you grow in strength. The thing about Saiyans is because they can exploit their genetic enhancements, aka Zenkai, for them it's easier than other species. That's why Saiyans get so much stronger than everybody else so fast, because it's not that like 17 or Krillin couldn't eventually get to be that strong. I know some people don't want to believe that, but I think it may take training that's beyond what they can do, or maybe more than one lifetime. But for people like Goku and Vegeta and some of these super strong meta people, like for them, they can get their bodies accustomed to shit quick. I mean, let's not forget, this goes all the way back to even before Frieza. When Goku does the triple Kaioken, and Kaio-sama's like, you can't do a triple Kaioken, your body can't take it. What happens? Goku does a ×4, and then his body starts to break apart, and he's burning and shit, because his body, he was able to push his body to take it, but it hurt him. Sagambo's kind of going through a version of that now.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Except, a little bit different. So, this guy's fucked up, bro. Look at him. Look at this shit. You almost feel bad for him. You almost feel bad for him, bro. This motherfucker is done, bro. And he's bleeding, just fucked up. And then Moro says he couldn't even withstand that smidgen of energy. How pathetic. What this is telling the audience, by the way, is that Moro is a massively more powerful character, bro.
Yeah, he's
like
OP.
These one of Graham's favorite words, bro. OP.
Yeah.
Hunter Rob says, I love your videos. I have my firstborn son, grew up with the series, and so excited to share the new Super adaptation with him and for myself. Best believe he'll be watching OG Dragon Ball first. Excellent parenting, bro. That's excellent.
Yeah, awesome.
Excellent. And I'm happy that so you said, see, because you didn't put a comma when I originally read it, I thought you said just had my firstborn son grow up with the series. But I think what you meant to say is that you grew up with the series and you just had your firstborn son and you want him to grow up with the series. So
yeah,
I think, yeah. So, anyways. Anyways, yeah, I get what he's saying. He's saying that he wants to watch, he's excited to watch more Super with his kid, which if he just had a son, though, it'll be a little while before he can watch it, even in dub, because he probably isn't going to be able to watch that kind of cartoon just yet. You know, he's not going to get it. But I mean, I sometimes, like, when I have friends of mine bring their kids over, I'll put on like OG Dragon Ball and they'll watch it because it's a fun, like I'll put on one of the OG Dragon Ball movies. That's easy for a kid to understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to pay that much attention to it. It's a side story anyway. So, yeah. So, Sagambo's done. Moro took him out himself because he's a piece of shit. And I like how he's like, wasn't he your friend? And he's like, my friend? I have no friends. Those are my soldiers. He does not give a damn about any of these dudes. They're loyal to him, but they're only a means to an end. He does not care about any of them. This is just an example of Moro being evil. I think one of the reasons that Moro got so popular, Jordan, is because outside of Frieza, he's the first Dragon Ball villain that was actually purely evil. In Super,
Right.
in Super. Because you've got Beerus, who is not evil. Hit, not really evil. Goku Black was evil. That's an evil character. With Zamasu, he's evil. And then you've got the Tournament of Power, like the Pride Troopers are not really evil, they're actually heroes. And then you've got Moro. So outside of Goku Black, he was, I mean, you could argue who's more evil, but they're both pretty fucking evil.
Right.
So Goku now decides to use Ultra Instinct Sign or Ultra Instinct Omen. So now the big thing now is that Goku has now learned how to
tap
use
into Omen. Yeah.
Well, at will. It's not
Yeah.
just an accident. Like now he can do it at will. So
Yeah,
I wanted
and the fact that he knows right off the bat that it's not a mortal ability is important because it kind of feeds into our video about Moro, about how he has all this knowledge about the gods and stuff like that, because he immediately knew this is not a mortal technique. But also, Goku just straight up says that this is the THE technique of the gods. Okay, so that just goes to show, like, they are really hyping up Ultra Instinct. I mean, they already did that in anime, but like, you really have to consider what Ultra Instinct actually is within this context. And what I mean by that is, Ultra Instinct is essentially not like, it's not just a technique. It's the psychological and martial arts based end goal of mortals for the gods and themselves. So it is a direct result of this new universe that was created post Daima. Like, Ultra Instinct is essentially the teachings of the gods making their way to these new life forms within the mortal realm. And Goku has been slowly climbing this god hierarchical ladder since he was a kid. Since he met Roshi, since he met Karin, since he met Mr. Popo, Kami, King Kai. He's been slowly,
I did a video about it. The road to Ultra Instinct.
Yeah, he's slowly climbing this god hierarchical ladder. And the reason that's important is because it shows that martial arts and the gods are connected, for one thing.
Of course.
The gods, the teachings that the gods, find important are centered around the concepts within martial arts, their moral stances and stuff like that.
Is this true, bro, that their names are based on the 3 wise monkeys? I didn't know that.
That's cool.
I did not know that. Thank you. I did not know that.
But anyway, I guess the whole point of what I'm saying is, especially if you consider the idea that Moro is from the demon realm and he refuses to cultivate himself, yada, yada, yada. This is almost like the culmination of everything the mortal realm has been building up to and working towards in terms of the development of mortals, the development of life within the universe, versus someone who has refused to cultivate themselves, is likely from the demon realm, and has relied on using magic to steal somebody else's energy. So basically what I'm saying is, this fight is not just Goku versus Moro. This fight is literally the mortal developmental techniques of the gods being put to the test against a demonic, Majin-like figure who basically embodies the opposite of the teachings that the gods were trying to impart onto mortals and to Goku. So I guess the reason I'm bringing that up is because when people look at this fight, they're just looking at it as Goku versus Moro when it's much, 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 much more than that. Goku is a representation of the teachings of the gods, of the development the progress that they have made, imparting their wisdom onto mortals and encouraging them to practice martial arts. Goku is like the champion of the gods and of the mortals in that sense. Like he basically champions the idea of moral development, of ki, of martial arts, all of these things that the gods are trying to push down onto the mortals and encourage them to practice. Goku is the epitome of that. And Moro is the opposite. Moro is a selfish, evil demonic, magic wielding, like everything he embodies is the opposite of what Goku embodies on a cosmological scale. So I just wanted to point that out because I think that makes this fight like way more epic if you look at it through that lens and not just Goku versus Moro. There's a lot of cosmological, universe level stuff that's happening here. You know?
I think that's even more solidified when Mirrors gets involved. Because Mirrors really represents the angels. Also, I did want to just comment on something that we're going to be discussing not only on this stream, but probably the next one too. I think that one of the big reasons as to why people got so confused over Ultra Instinct, and I can't blame them. This is, oftentimes I'll do a video where I'll talk about or I'll talk on here about, Dragon Ball fans not getting stuff, and sometimes it is that they're knuckleheads, but other times I understand why they don't get things. The problem is I think a lot of people forget that the anime and the manga are two different continuities of Dragon Ball Super. That's why the word canon is irrelevant. So Ultra Instinct in the manga is not the same as Ultra Instinct in the anime. Because when Goku used Ultra Instinct on Jiren, multiple statements were made both in promotional materials and in the manga that Jiren surpassed Gods of Destruction, and Goku cleanly beat Jiren in Dragon Ball Super episode 130. Right? In the manga, that's not how it played out. It played out very, very differently in the manga. I think it's not that... I do think that Toyotaro scaled Beerus higher in the manga. I do believe that. But I think that a lot of people, I think, get mixed up about that. And I think they forget. What happens, Jordan, is they mix the manga with the anime. Well, didn't Goku do this or say this? I can't blame them for that because this is one of those rare situations where the anime came first.
Viking saying
you're actually wrong.
Is a transformation for Goku.
Yes, it is. I've covered this in 3 videos already, but you go ahead, Jordan.
Well, I covered this in the last Mangalorian. Mirrors explains that because how Goku gets Ultra Instinct is unorthodox. He experiences a huge emotional shock, which causes a huge raise in ki, and then he has to control that using a calm mind and a calm heart. And that's the reason his hair changes color, is because Ultra Instinct is a transformation for Goku. Like, it actually does, put him into a state.
Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego are transformations for the Saiyans. For Beerus and Whis, they're state of minds because Goku and Vegeta haven't gotten there yet. They're techniques, but they're objectively transformations. You can't argue this. Yeah, when they look different, their hair changes color, dog. That's a fucking transformation, bro. What show are you watching?
And what I'm saying? The reason their hair changes color, and this is something that a lot of people don't understand about Dragon Ball, especially people who complain about recolors, right? The reason their hair changes color is because their hair is reflective of the amount of energy within their body, and the color of their hair is the color of the energy within their body. So when you see Super Saiyan God Goku, the reason his hair is red is because now he has God Chi, right? When you see Goku has blue hair, it's because he's controlling that God Chi to the point that it's like a cool, calm, collected version of that ki. It reflects Goku's mental state. That's the reason it's blue. Toriyama even talked about that. And Ultra Instinct is no different. Goku's mental state is being reflected through the transformation, and his ki is reacting to his mental state and that's what gives him this silver angelic like aura and silver like angelic hair is the
And
fact
eyes.
that his energy has become that of the angels. He has the same type of energy as the angels. So in that sense, it is a transformation. His energy in itself is changing, and his appearance is also changing. So
Yes. It's just, I've answered that I don't know how many times, but there's always new people. So that's why I made Geekdom 101 Plus, because I can take old videos from years ago that people clearly missed and put new ones, or not new ones, but re-upload them on 101 Plus for a new audience to look at. So
yeah.
I really like how Toyotaro draws UI Goku in these panels, bro. He's an absolute beast. Okay, official Rogue Queen, Rogue ENT. This is an off-topic question, bro. I don't know how to.
So
this is
if you're talking about his hair and his chest hair being red, like his hair color turning red,
that's the mutation.
That is also a side effect of his energy too, because whenever they did an interview with the director.
Yes, that was covered I covered that in my breakdown of episodes 18, 19, and 20 and Super Saiyan 4 Transformation Explained.
Yeah, and she wanted you to pay attention to the fiery, flaming aura of Super Saiyan 4 and what it represented and like why they used it within the context that they used it. So Super Saiyan 4 from Daima's theme is red because of that fiery red energy that he gets as a side effect of being powered up by Neva. So it's very similar to Jiren's energy. If you remember, Jiren had like
red
fire for energy, right? It's a super concentrated form of energy, and they normally use fire effects and red to signify a super concentrated form of energy. That's not God Ki, because Jiren didn't have God Ki, right? And neither did Super Saiyan 4 Goku. But his energy was so super concentrated and dense and large that it made it red, right? Like that's essentially the idea.
Magan, UI Omen, and UI Sign are the official terms. Okay, one last thing. With respect, dude, I don't want to stop the stream and explain Super Saiyan 4 from GT. We're not talking about that on the stream. I have a video on this very channel, Super Saiyan 4 Explained. It's right here in the channel. I did the GT and the Daima version. I don't want to stop the stream to explain Super Saiyan 4 when I have a video that already does that. Because we're already behind. I wanted to get this stream done within a couple hours.
We'll zoom through these last two chapters, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, but I just don't want to spend time on GT. We're not talking about GT.
No, I understand. I totally agree with that.
This is we got Moro to talk about, bro. So Goku and Moro start fighting. Goku, I love this. So Goku's so fast. Goku is so fast, right? That he's just blitzing this guy, and he's moving fast, and he's annoying Moro with these pitter patter punches, but like it's not hurting Moro. It's just annoying him more than hurting him. And sometimes that works. I've watched MMA fights where guys do pitter patter punches just because if someone's hitting you in the face, even if it doesn't hurt, it gets annoying.
You can erode a mountain with the ocean.
That's a fucking martial arts movie quote, or something from the Bible. Right, so now Moro counterattacks with Ki Blast. Goku's using his UI speed to try and go in, and he's about to hit Moro. Moro is able to block. He gets behind Moro, goes for a kick. So Moro's having trouble with UI Omen Goku, but he's still not like... It's not like Goku's just smashing him. Moro's able to keep up, which says a lot about Moro. And he even talks about right here the agility Goku has. But Moro is still really strong. So what does he do? He resorts to magic. And what does he do with his magic? He sits here and he uses these purple orbs to like control Goku's limbs from not moving. Now this is a brilliant counter to Ultra Instinct because what does Ultra Instinct mean? Your limbs are moving on their own with no thinking, but if Moro can shut your limbs off from working, you can't do shit. And now Moro takes the advantage. Bro, Moro's a real problem, dude. He was a real issue. I know Granola's technically stronger, but Moro with his hacks, bro, like I don't know, man. Like he was... You know what I'm saying, right? Like, I know Granola was technically more powerful, but, like, Moro's hacks are, like, almost unfair. You know, in some ways, his magic. That's why I want there to be more goat men and more magical enemies for Goku to fight in the future. So we cut to Vegeta.
I love that this guy's quoting Journey to the West in the comment section. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah.
Lord White.
A lot of people don't even know that Sun Wukong's power came from his chi or his ki. But yeah, they do talk about how his chi or his ki was like fire within the book. So that's cool.
I mean, ki and chi and all that stuff. It's ancient knowledge. That's like stuff that the Asians have talked about for centuries, man. Even before Journey to the West, and and Journey to the West, one of the oldest stories. Like that's, I don't think it's as old as the Odyssey, but it's pretty fucking old.
It's very old, yeah.
When was the first manuscript for
I think it's only about 1400 years ago or something like that. It's not super old.
So it's like 600 AD. Give or take?
Something like that. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've looked into the history of when Journey to the West was written. I did a whole thing where I studied the author a little bit, which nobody really knows who the author actually is.
Of course not. That's a lot of controversy from old texts. We don't know who the author actually is.
But there is somebody that they flirted with the idea of him being the author because of just how much knowledge this person. They knew for a fact that this person had a lot of knowledge about Taoism, Buddhism, and things of that nature. And he also had a reputation for writing like parody style scripts and stuff like that. So there is like somebody that they flirt with the idea that he's most definitely the author. But the thing is that Journey to the West is based on an actual event that actually happened. Like it's based on a real life story. So, you know, you can't, it traces back to that more than it traces back to the novel. So
what you're saying is that Sun Wukong was a real being, or they believe he was?
Well, it's not necessarily that he was a real being. It's that there was a monk, Tripitaka, who traveled.
I see.
There was a monk who traveled, and he did have people who followed him. One of them is considered a very barbaric, animal-like entity. He's probably in real life. What he probably actually was is he actually was a barbarian monk. I don't think he was
almost like a Neanderthal.
Yeah, I don't think he was a monkey. I think he was a Neanderthal-ish. Because the thing is at that time, Buddhist monks were trying to figure out ways to convert the barbarians to Buddhism, so they could use them to essentially protect them on their journeys and stuff like that. Because barbarians would invade Buddhist temples and destroy them and kill them and stuff like that. And, you know, Buddhist monks aren't necessarily supposed to be super violent or fight back or be revenge driven or anything like that. So it was really tough to deal with the barbarians who were coming into these temples and wiping these people out. So in my opinion, I think whoever that was that traveled with Tripitaka was one of those barbaric entities who originally wanted to take out the Buddhist monks, but eventually was converted to Buddhism and became a martial monk. So that's my opinion on it. But yeah.
Fair enough. No, fair enough. That's good to know. So this thing was written before even the Quran was. So it's definitely an old
I guess story. I was right, about 1400 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, Lord White seems to be a good history guy when it comes to that. So Goku realizes that's Moro's magic. That's going to be a problem for him. I was hoping we'd see more of this type of shit in Daima. We saw some of it, but maybe in the future. So Vegeta sensing what's going on. That's foreshadowing for his appearance. Now Moro begins to power up and fire blasts out of his body. This is similar to something Piccolo did in the 23rd tournament where he's just blasting energy everywhere because he's got so much energy. Right?
Yeah, tell Goku that they've already got the Dragon Ball set up.
Right. They're up in the sacred heavenly realm. So, which is Kami's Lookout. They call it Kami's Lookout because you can't say sacred heavenly realm in 1990s anime censorship. But that's what it's really called. So Goku's trying to basically do a Kamehameha like the one he did on Kefla in the anime, where he's kind of moving while he powers it up. And he's doing the best he can, using his senses, trying to get close. Here he actually knows that Moro's about to move, so Goku calculates what direction Moro's going to go in to blast him. Moro's surprised, but he manages to use his hand, because see, look what he does here.
He fires it in the wrong place before he even teleports to the wrong place.
Right, because he anticipated what Moro was going to do. It was tremendous.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
And so the blast is hit. He grabs it here. You saw through the illusion, huh? Perceptive, because Moro tried to get him with the Zanzo-ken, and Goku's like, yeah, I've seen the Zanzo-ken before. And then we have the other characters. Moro is still blocking Kamehamehas with one hand, which is very impressive. This is UI Omen Kamehamehas, bro. This is all great action. I mean, there isn't too much for us to break down here. Goku's just trying to connecting with some hits, although he's hitting Moro not really in like he's hitting him in his arms and different parts of his body, but not like really in any places that's actually going to win the fight, just to weaken him a little bit.
Well, the way Ultra Instinct Omen works is it adapts to he's adapting to Moro as he's fighting him, but it takes it takes more stamina because it's okay, so with Ultra Instinct Omen, all he's doing is just casting aside unnecessary emotions and not allowing them to affect his thoughts, meaning he has a calm mind, but he does not have a calm heart. And because of that, every time he powers, every time he shoots up in energy, it's unstable and it causes more stamina to be drained than if he was in the silver-haired Ultra Instinct form, because his heart, it's basically stressing his heart. His heart's not calm enough to basically withstand the impact of the huge jolts of energy that he's getting from Ultra Instinct every time he gets hit or adapts to Moro's power level. So this is not going to last. He's not going to be able to defeat Moro this way. He's just not.
He's just not. He's doing the best he can, though. Again, I can't criticize anything here. This is all good stuff. Goku's coming in, and as they're moving at super beyond the speed of light speed, it seems like it's crazy speeds here. Goku is doing that thing where he's punching him from afar and the blows are still connecting. That just shows how powerful and fast his Ultra Instinct is. I love this panel right here, man. Moro and Goku both connect on each other at the same time. They both hurt each other.
It's like up and down. It's an unorthodox angle for when they do stuff like that, because most of the time they'll do it from a left and right angle, but it's from above and below, which I think is really cool.
Which I love it, because it's like the only time that we see something like that.
Yeah.
The only time we've seen it up until this point anyways. Again, good creativity. Moro goes down, and Moro, it looks like he's starting to suck some power out, because Jocko even sees it, but Moro's just using more of his evasion. Goku's trying to get him. Moro blocks it, throws him back. Goku comes back around. And again, what they're trying to do right now is they're kind of playing chess with each other. Like, they're trying to see where they're going to move and try to anticipate the movements of the other guy.
Well, also, this is where Moro finds out that Goku is moving so fast in Ultra Instinct that his drain technique doesn't work on him.
Yeah, he can't suck him.
Right.
Moro is unable to suck Goku because he's moving too fast, which is good, because otherwise that would be an issue.
Yeah.
Moro would just keep getting stronger. So he starts to connect with Moro with some kicks. I mean, we see it right here. He's really lots of action in these panels. And then even Gohan points out that he's not even using the silver-haired UI yet. He's not. Now, here we have our first look at Mirrors in the actual angel outfit. And Whis is actually praising how good of a trainer he was.
Yep.
And they're talking about food or whatever, and just typical goofiness there.
Well, he's letting Whis know that Goku never did achieve the silver-haired form.
He didn't master it. Not yet. But the whole thing is, it's in there somewhere. We got to figure out how to get it out. That's really it. And then we're going to get there when we get there. So Moro's doing that traditional technique he does by shooting fire from the earth that he did on Planet Namek. And Moro's pissed because, like it says, if you believe you found a way to around my energy absorption, but you've made a grave error. I only consume energy to fill up my stomach. Weakening my opponents and strengthening myself are only fortunate side effects. Neither is the primary goal. He's like, as such, I'll happily devour your energy after you're defeated. He's like, how? You thought this was all I could muster? And then Moro powers up. So it's exactly what Goku said earlier. I think he's hiding some of his power.
Yeah, and because he's hiding, and this is Ultra Instinct's weakness, okay? I want to make this clear. The reason Jiren could keep up with Ultra Instinct in the Tournament of Power is because every time Goku would adapt to Jiren, Jiren wasn't using his full power, and he would just power up again. So
Yeah, he's
basically, what you're
elevated.
doing, yeah, you're taking advantage of Ultra Instinct's ability to adapt, but also drain stamina. And what you're doing is you're allowing your opponent to adapt using Ultra Instinct, but then afterwards you're powering up, so they have to adapt again and again and again, and just more of their stamina gets drained every single time. So this is actually like way smarter for Moro. This works out way better for Moro than even he anticipated, because he's taking advantage of the same sort of exploit that Jiren did. So
Right. And he's gotten a lot stronger because of all the planets he's eaten since the first fight with Goku a few chapters ago.
yeah, he says that he has power that transcends the very gods. Now,
Yeah.
a lot of people have taken this statement too literally and think that he means like Zeno, the angels, all that stuff.
No, no.
I
not
want to make
necessarily.
it clear that Moro only knows about the Kai. He does not know about the angels. I don't even think he knows about the destroyers. He only knows about the Kai. So he's
Well,
he's
in
talking
his
about this
defense,
within
they were hidden for a while. You know what I mean?
yeah. I'm just saying he's talking about this from within the context of his knowledge, of his perception of what the gods are.
And also, he might be talking about magic power as well, mixed in with just strength. You know, because there's
Right.
magic. Because the gods have magical abilities that the Saiyans and the regular people don't have. But Moro does have it, and he has his own set of magical abilities. This is a good question from Diddley Squad, and I don't have an answer for you. We do not know. That was never revealed, so maybe someday we'll know. So now Goku is starting to worry a little bit. Moro comes up and actually gets behind him and puts him in the reverse bear hug. Classic fucking move that Cell does to Gohan. And he's squeezing the life out of him while also sucking him.
Yeah, and he says the reason that Goku didn't use it against Sangombo is because he can't maintain it for very long. So essentially, he's got Goku figured out.
And that's brilliant, because one of the things that villains always make this mistake, and it's he does not make this mistake, and that makes
Right.
him like very unique. Very
Right.
unique. I would recommend black and white version. It's much better than the color version, I believe. Well, I disagree with you, number one. Number two, we've done every stream with the color version, bro. We're not
The
going to
black and white version's better with the old manga, but I don't think so with Super because of the gray tones. That's just my opinion.
I agree, and the fact that the forms are way more colorful. It's just
Yeah.
and we're not gonna switch to the black and white one when we've been doing the color ones from the very first episode. It just doesn't make sense to do that.
So this is where Whis explains what I just explained about
Yes.
how every time they adapt using Ultra Instinct, it consumes a bunch of stamina, and that's essentially what Moro is taking advantage of here. So
We says that sign, aka Omen, serves as a gateway to Ultra Instinct, but it isn't stable. Maintaining that instability consumes an enormous amount of stamina. And then Mira says, this battle hinges on Son Goku's ability to manage that energy drain while keeping up sign as long as possible. But also, it's not just that Goku's losing energy, it's the fact that Moro is also taking energy from Goku. And if you look over here, look at Goku's eyes. They're back, they go from the UI eyes to the normal eyes, which means that he's dropped out of the form.
yeah.
So Moro has won this fight. And Goku says, I should have realized you figured out my weakness, but still, he says, if you were just stalling for time, that means you don't think you can beat me when I'm at full power. So if I can keep hitting you with all I've got, I can win this. Sorry, Mirs, but stamina balancing act during battle isn't my style. Of course, yes, I learned that later. And then Moro's like, oh, okay, let's go again. So next chapter, I think that's the next chapter. It looks like it's a chapter break, but it doesn't have
It is.
I think it's in the next page. Or the next couple pages. Goku, because it just says Dragon Ball Super, but it doesn't say
Yeah, it does
the
that
chapter name.
sometimes.
Weird. So they both power up. This is going to be great if done right in the anime. You know, the blue and the orange, you know, very nice color. Again, this is why I like the color version. Because
Yeah,
like
me too.
this is so much better in color. Just so much better. You know, crazy levels of power here. Great art from Toyotaro. I actually like this panel in black and white too. It's just for this one is tremendous. And the thing I like about this fight, and this is a good example. I'm glad we're doing this because I feel like I'm enjoying the Moro arc now more than I did the first time, because now like seeing everything in context, except for like month to month as it's coming out,
Yeah.
does provide a different experience completely. Because if you look at this, right, like, dude, so Goku and Moro's fight is very cerebral. It's very strategic. And that's something that I think Dragon Ball was missing big time for a long time. I think Dragon Ball Z, the latter parts of it, kind of cut down a little bit on it, and Super definitely did. And I think the reason for that was because the Toei staff, I don't think they ever truly understood, like the modern Toei staff, I mean. They didn't understand what Koyama knew back in the day. And it's not like I'm insulting them, it's just you can see a difference here. Like, this is way more strategic than any of the fights we've seen in Super before this one. Like, what other fight in Super was like this one?
Well, it depends on what you mean by strategy.
Well, it's very cerebral, and we didn't see a lot of it. There was a little bit of it in Gogeta versus Broly. There was a little bit of it in Goku versus Jiren, but this feels like a fight that Toriyama wrote in the original manga. And I don't think we've gotten that feeling for a long time.
I
Long time. So Moro creates a giant energy ball, fires it at Goku.
Well, he tries to. Goku kicks it out of his hand before he can even shoot it.
Right. He kicks it out of his hand before he can shoot it, hits him with an elbow. Goku's got the advantage right now. Kicks him in the gut. Down goes Moro. This is so awesome right here. And it's very easy to read. Toyotaro's paneling is pretty great. He goes around, he gets dropped, he grabs him by the foot. This is the Broly Hulk smash move, just Moro's version of it, where he grabs him by the foot and he's just smashing him. Goku's feeling a lot of pain. He's obviously back in UI Omen. He's using Ki Energy Blast now to get away from Moro. Moro is basically blocking or deflecting them. He tries to come in for a physical attack. Goku sees it coming and blocks it. Moro comes in again. Goku tries to counterattack. Moro blocks it. It really is a good fight on paper, bro. It really is this is a better fight than I remembered from 2021 or whatever. I think that was 2020. Yeah. 2020.
Yeah, and I do agree that the colors make it pop. I do agree.
No, it's just, I disagree with that guy in the chat, bro. I think it's way better in color. Like, way, I don't know what he's thinking. So, and then Wee says, if he followed your advice and conserved stamina to maintain sign for longer, I have doubts he would have made much headway against Moro. So it's just that they know how dangerous Moro is now.
They know how much energy he has probably in reserve and how much he can power up too. You know,
Whis knows that kind of shit, bro. Goku hits him with a left hook, a right, a knee, knocks him on his ass. And then Goku's like, did I get him? But Moro is okay. And then Moro's like, is that all you got? And then over here, I like how they're cutting between the fight and the angels. Does Moro's strength exceed your expectations, Mir? Says yes, to think that he grew this powerful. I expect that Goku sensed that as well, hence this gamble of tapping into his full potential. Saiyans are known to exhibit untold power when their backs are against the wall, especially Goku and Vegeta. And that leads us right to Vegeta, which I think is a great transition. Vegeta's over here learning all of these magic techniques from the Yard Rats.
Yeah, you remember when this first happened and people thought that he learned Moro's like energy drain ability right here?
It's similar. There's a similarity to it.
Yeah, it's just when this page dropped, everybody was like, what the heck? Did he learn Moro's powers? Because if you notice, he's like holding his hands out and they're like all drained laying on the ground. I'll never forget that. But
Right. And the thing is, it wasn't called Force Spirit Fission at the time. Not yet. But that's what he's learning here. And essentially, it says that this is a new one. So the Yard Rat people are forbidden from using instant teleportation to travel off their own planet. And so who made that rule?
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, they're a monk-like race. They're a lot like the Namekians in that sense. They're like martial artists, a monk-like race. So I could see them like having similar principles to the Namekians, where they try to keep to themselves and not push their influence too much throughout the universe. I could totally see that. That actually makes a lot of sense.
But who was it that made that rule where they couldn't teleport off their own planet? Like that's That seems
They
like
have to have
something.
somebody in charge. They have to have
Well, that's what
somebody
I'm
in charge.
saying. That seems like some incident happened in the past that we weren't told about, and they put that limitation on them. Because why would they do that
Right.
otherwise?
Right.
Very weird. So, Vegeta realized that they can't sense Goku because he's using UI, and only gods can sense that, according to him. So, so Vegeta asked them to learn instantaneous movement. So that's what's going to happen here. So, and I actually am very happy that somebody else learned it besides Goku. I'm very
Yeah, me
happy
too.
about that. Yeah, because Goku being the only one was always weird to me. All right, Goku and Moro continue to fight. Moro gets the advantage with a knee, knocks Goku on his ass. Now Moro's getting better, and the speed is going down, and Moro's getting faster. So even Ultra Instinct Goku has his hands full with this guy. And again, I know it's Omen, but nevertheless, he's still in trouble. Moro says, "You've reached your limit. That said, consider me shocked that you have amassed such power." Goku says, "You don't get to decide when this is over. I'm not done yet." So Goku then is powering up again. So he's tapping into more of his power, trying to go in, but Moro blocks. Then he hits the elbow. And then Mirrors comments on it, saying, you're relying on sheer power, but you're not going to be able to use Ultra Instinct for that reason.
Right.
I get it. It makes sense. Ultra Instinct is not about just power. And that's important to remember.
This guy said that it's likely that the Yard Race decided not to do it because other people learning instant transmission would be dangerous. I actually agree with that. I actually think that's a really good point.
I understand. No, I'm not disagreeing that that's not that's not a. I think that's a good reason. I just want to know who was it that made that ruling.
Right.
Like, was it a Yard Rat leader, or was it like the Kais? Like, who? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Who was it that told them you're not allowed to teleport off the planet?
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
So
anyway. This right here, I think is very important because it kind of in the last Mongolian, I was talking to you guys about what defines neutrality for the angels.
Yes.
And Whis gives a great example here. So Whis is basically acknowledging the fact that Maris wants to go help still. He still wants to go save Earth.
He wants to save the planet, yep.
Yeah, and Whis says the birth and death of planets simply is a part of the great and long cycle of the universe. Excessive meddling on our part would affect the natural flow of these matters, which is not necessarily a good thing. So that's basically like verbatim what I told you guys last stream. To remain neutral is to essentially not to do anything that basically causes a chain reaction within the multiverse that would essentially alter the events in a way that they think is unnecessary or unwanted. Essentially, the reason they stay neutral is because if they didn't, the universe would not turn out, or the multiverse would not turn out the way that they want. They want the universe to naturally develop the way that it's supposed to without any like major, input from the gods or action from the gods. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it also then gives you more context about their involvement and what that actually means. Because, like I've said before, Whis reversing time and Resurrection F, even though they're going to say it wasn't direct involvement, I think I've always thought it was direct involvement, because had he not done that, the Earth would have been blown up, and everyone would have been dead except for maybe him and Beerus, or maybe and Goku and Vegeta. So I think that's a pretty big piece of involvement. But because Whis didn't actually punch Frieza, it's more about touching than techniques, which is weird.
Well, it's about motivation as well. Whis' motivation wasn't necessarily that he liked Goku and Vegeta per se. It's
those
that
were
they wanted
students.
Well, they wanted to keep Earth around to keep eating off of it too. So
right, but again, that's still meddling.
Because
that's meddling with the natural order.
If Whis gained an actual, but here's the difference though. Whis is the one telling Mirrors they're gonna have to just die. Right. So that goes to show you that despite the fact that Whis did reverse time, it's not because he's like overly attached to Goku and Vegeta. It's just that him and Beerus have a bias for Earth because they like the food that it has. And that's just, they're not, their thought process is not from a place of emotion.
Right, but it's still funny that back then they were willing to save the earth for food, but now Whis is like, that's a natural order of things.
Right,
I
right.
think it's more so Whis trying to teach Mirrors a lesson. That's what I think. That's also what it is. By the way, this theory from Diddley Squat saying that they could be the Kais that told them not to teleport. That's a good enough theory as that's not a bad theory. Like that works just as well as like several others. You know what I mean? I'm not saying for certain that that's what happened. I'm saying your idea makes sense. Now I don't know if that's actually the reason.
Yeah, you can reverse time. You can reverse time and get away with it and still do it from a place of neutrality. That's my point. It's where they're doing it from that's important, not not the actual impact. The actual impact is because the thing is the gods have the right, the angels in themselves have the right to do whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. They just have to remain neutral. So we still is allowed to reverse time. Grand Priest straight up says, outside of maintaining our neutrality, there's nothing we can't do. We're allowed to do anything, right?
I understand.
But he has to do it from a place of neutrality, because if he doesn't, essentially what ends up happening is it's like a Jedi falling to the dark side. The first time that an angel does something
Picks
from a place,
a side.
Yeah, not from a place of neutrality, but from a place of actual concern and emotional thought. That is the danger. That is the concern. That is what Grand Priest is worried about. He's not worried about Whis reversing time. He doesn't give a shit about that. That's not. He doesn't care about that, right? What he cares about is just making sure the angels stay like him. They stay neutral like him. They can do things. They can mess with the mortals. They can change things up a little bit. I mean, the TOP is that. I mean, the tournament of power is literally them just taking a bunch of mortals and throwing them in a cage and saying like, "Hey,"
to entertain them.
Right. So it's not that they're not allowed to do stuff like that. It's that the angels psychologically are not allowed to deviate from their neutral nature. It's about the angels themselves and the potential effect that they could have on the universe as a side effect of losing their neutrality, not necessarily about the actual actions that they take within the universe. So
yes. So Moro crushes Goku with this foot stomp. I mean, geez, look at this crunch. Goku he's beaten because he's knocked out of Ultra Instinct. He lost the Ultra Instinct aura. He's like, that's quite enough fun for now. So right now, basically Moro's sucking him.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. And yes, I know that's pause. So here comes freaking 17 and 18 trying to get involved. Moro can see them coming. They're way, way out of his league. I mean, he's out of their league. Well, how does it go? They're out of each other's league, bro. I like how he says, looking to snack on some life energy. How about a taste of ours? Spoiler alert, we don't have any, which I think is BS. They have to have some life energy because they're humans. They're artificial humans. Artificial life forms. Didn't this planet possess such advanced technology? Now here's Goku. Here's Vegeta trying to learn how to teleport. And he only said he says, I own this to work once. I'm fine if it never does again. But he should do it again, though. Why would you not want to use that technique? It's so useful.
Right.
And I don't want to hear motherfuckers, oh, well, he doesn't want to use a move that Kakarot used. That's bullshit, bro, because he fucking learned the fusion pose. He fucking follows Kakarot's lead when it comes to discovering new forms. Like, don't even start with that fucking, oh, Vegeta doesn't want to follow Kakarot.
Hey,
yes, he does, bro.
Hey, man, you might not think the pause jokes are funny, but I think you getting upset over the pause jokes is funny. So,
Yeah, the all caps over the pause jokes is a little bit much, bro. Control your emotions. Control your emotions.
Padawan.
Yeah, come on, bro. Control yourself. So Vegeta concentrates. And I like how Paibara gives him new clothing. That clothes beam technique is pretty great. Well done enduring our brutal training. May you fight with confidence. So Vegeta gets the hell out of there, and they sense that Vegeta's energy spirit is on Earth. Incredible magic and teleportation for a little training. So Vegeta is like a prodigy again. Here comes 17. Well, let me see what they say up here. Oh, there it is. Vegeta must be some kind of prodigy. His achievements are the product of all his training. In that sense, he may be a prodigy, yes, one born of hard work. I mean, that's Goku and Vegeta, and really,
Well,
Goku.
Vegeta works his ass off until he figures out how to do things. Goku gets things instantly because he's a savant. We had a whole conversation about this where that's the difference. They both make progress like on the same level as each other, but because Vegeta is such a conscious, intentful person, because he thinks so much and he tries to figure out things so much on a deep fundamental level, that's what makes him prodigious. Whereas Goku, he doesn't have to think about things that much. He can just pick up on things quickly, intuitively, because he's a martial arts savant. So that's really the difference here.
And it's interesting because like we see this a lot from them, and I think some people are quick to say that it's like lazy writing, but the thing people have to understand is Goku and Vegeta are not like the average Saiyans. They've devoted their life to this. Therefore, them learning stuff quickly, I don't think. I mean, that's from the very beginning of the series. Like that's right at the very beginning of the series. Goku does the Kamehameha and blows up a truck after seeing it once. Like that's nothing new. You know, obviously in some cases you do want them to work hard for their ship, but they do work hard. I mean, Goku trained under gravity, Vegeta trained under gravity. Like this is a thing that happens. They do that.
Right.
So that's just, I've never had a problem with that. Gohan is somebody who has had a lot of stuff handed to him, but I still have a problem with that either because they explained it early on enough that doesn't matter. So
Right.
Moro knocks them away, and Moro does say he can't take their power, but they do have some kind of power inside of them. And Piccolo's telling Gohan we have to stay away from this fight because he'll take our power too. And Goku's like, I don't know what to do. And then here comes Vegeta to make the save. So one of the cool and rare times that Vegeta has come to save Goku. Usually it's the other way around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Vegeta gets to have his Goku moment. Yeah.
And yes, he gets his Goku moment. But remember, Jordan, if he doesn't kill the main boss, Toriyama hates him.
Right.
Yeah. So we're almost done, by the way. This is like near the end of this volume. So Vegeta and Moro start talking trash to each other. And Moro's very, very powerful, but Vegeta's very confident because he's figured out Force, Spirit, Fission. And then he powers up into blue. This looks more like royal blue than like you know, his blue evolution.
Yeah, this is his blue evolution type thing that Toyotaro gave him. It is.
Right, and you can tell because of how much darker the colors are. That's
It also makes the aura look much more like fire. For
like blue fire, which is hotter than red fire.
Yeah.
Blue flame is hotter than red flame. So, and then he says right here, that's the Super Saiyan blue form. Use the term. What?
He gives the thumb.
Oh, yeah, the infamous
I'm gonna lose the fight.
I'm about to lose thumb. Right.
Yeah.
And then he jumps at Moro, and that's where the volume ends. That's it. We have some cool art of Goku cooking, and that's it. That's the end of Manga volume. Goku. Yes, Manga volume 13 is done, yo. So, yeah, man. It's a fun volume. Lots of action. There was a little bit of stuff to break down, but not so much that it got, out of control. I had a good time with it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Do you think we have time to show them those pages?
I was gonna say, let me see. Well, how much do you want to show them?
We don't have to like read it. I just want them to see it so I can plug it and then they can go read it on Twitter. So we don't have to like read it. I just want them to like see it, right? So
like this?
Yeah. So if you guys are interested, I've been posting pages of this like every week, probably around every Friday, every Saturday. So this manga, this is a fan manga. You guys were asking about fan manga.
Yeah, this is a fan manga.
This is Bardock's first planet. That's what this.
It's a prequel to the prequel.
Yeah, so this is Bardock's, like the first planet that he lands on that he conquers as a kid, right? Can you zoom in more?
I'm trying. There we go.
It won't let you. Okay, so this is his first planet. I think you guys will enjoy it. Will you like just kind of zoom through the pages a little bit? Just like go a few pages.
Like which page? Is there a
maybe
specific
like
page?
5 maybe. Okay, so this character right here is a Barbary character. The first planet that Bardock lands on in my story is the Universe 7 equivalent of the Barbary.
Right.
And yeah, it does show how he gets a scar. Actually, if you'll go a few pages, you guys can see that.
Yeah, he doesn't have his scar yet. Well, do you know what page it is? Do you remember?
Check 8. Okay, you can zoom in on this just because it's funny.
Whoa.
But anyway, so this character
He's trying to take on the Barbary.
Yeah, this Barbary character, he ends up being like the Barbary equivalent of Bardock. Like he's sort of changed a little bit as a Barbary. Like he's become a bit more human, I guess you could say, and that's where the dynamic between this character and Bardock kind of becomes important. Can you just hit the arrow? Will it change the episode, the page
to the next page? I don't know.
Yeah. If you hit right or left.
Oh yeah, right does. Yeah, right.
Okay,
does.
do that. Okay, go another page.
Keep going right.
Yeah, keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going. Keep going. Right here. So this is where go back one.
Go back one right here.
Yeah. So this is where he gets a scar. So Bardock jumps in between a group of Barbary, and he ends up getting smashed in the face by one of the Barbary's clubs, and that ends up.
So that's where he gets the scar right there.
Yeah, yeah, and then a few pages later, will you go a couple more pages? Okay, so whenever he gets up, when he gets up from getting hit, this is the first time Bardock's like Saiyan nature gets woken up. So what I wanted to do is I wanted the scar to be associated with the first time that he's like in a life or death situation, and then his Saiyan nature gets woken up for the first time. That's what I wanted.
His fight or flight.
Yeah, that's what I wanted the significance of the scar to be, is like it wakes up like his like inner Saiyan nature. So if you'll go a few pages over, I just want there's a few pages. Okay, this page right here. Go back one. Go back one. I love the action paneling in this page. I wanted to show you guys particularly this page.
Shout out to Zarpzy.
Me and him worked together on this. Like I gave him the paneling and I described to him what he was supposed to draw and the angles and stuff like that. But he did a great job doing the action paneling for that particular page. Now, if you don't mind, Danny, like hit right like maybe 3 or 4 times.
I'm doing it.
Okay,
slow,
so this character right here is the main villain of the story. He is a Barbary who has discovered magical text that the Majin had left behind on this planet.
Very interesting.
And he's using magical text that the Majin left behind to use magic. And he's the main villain of this story. He's a Barbary who uses magic.
He unlocked the third eye, bro.
Yeah, and that'll be explained at some point. Will you go to the very last page? Just keep going until you get to the last page.
24.
So the very last page reveals this character in the bottom. I think you guys will like him. So this whole wizard guy's deal is that he has like the knowledge of the gods, so to speak, and he's kind of trying to create his own god hierarchy, like his own mortal level god hierarchy. So he wants to have his own destroyers. He wants to have his own wizards. He wants to have his own, all that kind of stuff. He's kind of trying to become and play God. And this character is like a pseudo Barbary destroyer. His name's Barley. So that's the latest character that we've introduced is Barley.
Is this the last page of the chapter?
Yeah, and that's the reason I wanted to go to it. So this character is going to be coming to life. We're going to be posting pages of like his story and stuff like that here in the next few weeks. So I wanted you guys to know about this because it's just really starting to pick up and get good. So I wanted to advertise this for you guys so you guys can go see it on Twitter every Friday, every Saturday. It's not really a spoiler because some of this stuff is explained within the manga itself. I'm just not going to show you every single individual page, but go read it yourself. Just go read it. And there's stuff that I haven't told you, by the way. There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen that I have not told you. So
how many chapters are you planning for it to be? Because I imagine it's not going to be super long.
I'd say we'll probably do about 25 more pages, 25 to 30 max. It'll be like 60 pages. So it'll be like a chapter of Dragon Ball Super, basically. So
Well, you mean in total it'll be
Yeah.
60 pages, so it'll be two
Yeah, something
chapters then, give or take.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, like two parts. I mean, that I was just curious about how far you were going to go with it.
Right.
Because you can kind of do whatever you want. You can go back to it if you want. There's a lot of possibilities.
Right. But
So
I think
where
you
do
guys
they
will
go
enjoy
for
it.
this though? You didn't tell them where do they go to read
Go to
this?
my
Do you-
Twitter. Go to my Twitter. Go to my X account. I post it every Friday, normally every Friday and every Saturday. Sometimes we're a little late, but go find Jordan L. Durham on Twitter. That's my handle.
Let me
Jordan L.
link
Durham.
it to him. Let me link it to him.
And you
real
guys
quick.
can find it on my Twitter account every Friday and every Saturday. So
there you go. It's right there. Is Derek gonna host that for you?
Maybe. I've talked to him more about it. We're talking about possibly doing a colored version of Dragon Ball Infinity for the Battle of Gods re-release. So that might be something to look forward to. I might be re-releasing my old manga in color for the Battle of Gods stuff. We've been talking about that. So that's something that might happen. We'll see. I want to do that because my manga happened because of Battle of Gods. I started writing Dragon Ball Infinity after I watched Battle of Gods. I was so inspired by it that's the reason it exists. So I kind of think it's poetic to like redo it and color it for the Battle of God remake. I think that's cool. I think it's a cool concept. So we might be doing that. Anyway, this is the character right here. His name's Taima. He's a Saiyan time god of
You
destruction.
have him on a
thing.
shirt already?
Yeah, I do. He is
That's
he is
wacky.
the Hakaishin of time. He is the god of destruction of time.
We already have those
So-
coming, Jordan.
Yeah, well, I did it first, so let the
Okay.
record show.
All right, those are coming. Xenoverse 3. No, but yours is definitely different. Yours is a different take on that whole idea.
Yeah, there's actually a Dragon Ball Infinity animation on Rising Fist channel for the first 3 chapters. If you guys,
Yeah,
are
but you're
interested
not
in
the
that.
animator though. You're
No,
you're
I'm not the animator.
You're,
I did
you're
direct-
the writer.
I directed the animation. I did direct the animation, but I didn't animate. But there is an animator. There is an animation of it on Rising Fist channel right here on YouTube. If you guys are interested in that, so.
Thank you for the membership, but if you look down here at the text moving, see Jordan, you can even show them the text and they still won't see it.
Yeah.
Bonus content and membership have been moved to Patreon.
Yeah.
It's right down there, bro. It's been down there the whole stream.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys stopping by. The next Mangalorian is going to be crazy. It's going
That's
to be
Vegeta.
intense.
Vegeta versus Moro.
Yeah, the next one's going to be intense. So do not miss the next one. Do not miss the next Mangalorian. Whatever you do, do not miss. The next one's going to be huge. So don't miss it.
So I think we should start that one a little bit later. Honestly, like not at 2:00. Because it seems like more people joining the tail end, so maybe we'll talk. It's not a big deal. We'll figure it out. 'Cause
Right.
next week I think is pretty open for me during the week, so we'll see.
All right.
In the
well,
meantime, have a good one, y'all. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.